against Warnock. They won the heat-outs last week, Melbourne, but they won their clearances, but they still lost the game by 101 points. So today they need to work better at ground level too.
Underway on a Sunday then. Under cloudy skies, down goes Mackenzie, pushed in the back, will get the first free kick. Real hard-working player. Blees lays it off. There's Watts pushing up from defence, goes down towards half-forward. Howe comes on the searching lead, slips a hand pass away. Grimes, upended, pulls it back. Wonderful courage. Robinson could have been taken high. Bale slips a hand pass away. Green snaps and misses. Melbourne with the hoop socks this afternoon. Unusual.
So Grimes just trying to collect himself there. Co-captain with Jack Tringo.
He's already been knocked out once this year, Bruce, so let's just hope that he didn't cop another heavy knock to the head.
Grimes boys have had some injuries, haven't they? Of course, the Tiger out yesterday. An important player he's been for them too. So Jamar goes to ground. Cruiser getting the ball forward, spiralling it forward. Hampson in a race with Rivers. Ball at the back, Garland, who's got the job on Betts early. Now just needs to sit for Rivers, and it does. He releases, so Grimes okay now. What can he do with it? Okay to Jones. So then Jones out wide. It's a Rivers, and then Rivers kicks the ball to half forward. And good grab in the front, taken by Howe. So Bootsby's got the job on Howe early.
That's been really positive, hasn't it? The Melbourne ball use early in this game. They're not a high possession player. There's the bump, and bang, lands on his head. So, but he got up okay. Jared Rivers, just a good, strong kick into the forward line, and how we know he's got a wonderful set of hands.
It's 3 goals, 7 from set shots, so you can see there. So hasn't been kicking too well from the set, and that one adds to that total of woe, doesn't it? So say it all the time. You've got to take your shots, and I reckon, you know, Hawthorn yesterday, you think back, I mean, God, they had some opportunities in that game early, didn't they? Savage had 2 chances within about a minute at that end.
13 possessions to 2 at the moment. Melbourne riding high.
Eddie Betts out the back here.
Terrific mark. Big leap from Hampson. Betts is deep. He comes wide to Garlett up. Numbered back there is McDonald. Garlett can choose from 2 over McDonald's head. He does well to get back, but he's still, well, no, he wasn't outmarked. Well done. He confused things enough. Ball close to the goal line. Mackenzie, Walker tries to pull it back, gets it around the corner. McLean misses to the near side. Well, young McDonald did really well to get back. Tom McDonald putting pressure on. He was in no man's land, but somehow got the ball on the deck.
He sure did, Dennis, and that's a terrible, terrible kick by Grimes. Melbourne were on then. In fact, Rivers went the wrong way. He should have moved the ball forward, not back to Grimes, because he had a man completely on his own at centre wing, and he slowed it down. So probing kick by Robinson to fall forward. Watts was the big flyer. Judd, Grimes. So Grimes has been busy early. Touched off the boot. Maloney and Warnock together. Bit of a wrestle ball up. That was interesting, Tim, wasn't it, with Betts out in the back there. He was 50 metres on his own at one stage there. Garland had committed to the contest from the long kick in. So Simpson's quick kick forward. Gets it to full forward. Rivers holds up. And a free to Frawley.
James Frawley. Let him get the footy.
Watts is out here too if they get quick rush.
Famous defensive name. Frawley goes to the opposite pocket. Nice kick too. McDonald, not always a good kick. That's not bad though. Howe let his man under the ball, leads back, gathers it forward of the wing. He's outnumbered. Scotland, the extra number, didn't need any help, although he was tackled down by Howe, who fought back strongly. Jamison, Collins, the former Tigers, stumbles, in trouble. Well done by Howe, slaps the ball out of bounds.
Dennis, you mentioned Geordie Mackenzie might get the job on Chris Judd. He certainly is. He's running with his boyhood hero, which will be a great challenge for him to see how he goes on the great Chris Judd.
His tackle count's going to be high tonight again for Geordie, isn't it? And there he is trying to harass Judd to the line, and a boundary throw in. Juddy's been interesting, Tim. I mean, in the last 2 weeks, he's had 29 and 24 against the Saints and Adelaide, but he had the flu in the middle of those 2. He just hasn't quite broken the lines, has he?
He hasn't got a lot of outside stuff.
So Warnock at the back.
Man, Chris Judd.
There you go, Lingy. That's Mackenzie and Judd. So
this is where the Blues are dangerous too. They push all their smalls up the ground. They left their 2 talls deep. Here's Hampson now.
Gibbs was a kick, but Actually, Rivers starting pretty well here. So Rivers, Grimes and Frawley all doing OK in the early stages for the D's in the back half.
Frawley under no pressure. Gets around Cruiser. Goes back outside towards right half back. Rivers punches one along the line. Awkward half volley there for Clark. Jamieson went to Gibbs. Scotland. Untidy. Clark back into the fray. Clark plays it on. Bale hard against the line. Could be marked by Melbourne. No. Terrific mark instead by Bauer. It seemed destined for the chest of Dunn, but Bauer came ghosting in from the side and now gets 50.
That was courageous too, Dennis.
Well, he was out. Now he's back in the side. He played last week. Gives it across to Gibbs, so knows where he stands in the scheme of things. Cruiser dragged down. That ball doesn't release. Collins slides in.
That's a poor kick. That's not where you should be kicking the ball to Matthew Cruiser. In fact, that's set up for Frawley. A long lead like that, he's going to be able to gather Cruiser quickly in a leg race like that. So you've just got to kick the ball up to the big fella.
So pretty quiet start by the Blues here. Maloney, Warnock tackling him. And then Magna gets the ball forward. Bouncing ball at centre wing. Green was there with Robinson. Well done, Jones. Did very well. And then gets rid of Armfield. And then kicks the ball to the pocket. Wasn't a very good kick. Well done, Dunn. So Dunn and Bauer for the second time in a bit of a contest.
Yeah, great play here. Great pirouette by Jones. But Dunn just went to the wrong spot. He actually had to tuck in behind Clark then and go to the goal square.
So boundary throw in. Just inside the 50 for Melbourne. Warnock did well, controlled his own ball. Kick was smothered though. Ricochets out towards the boundary. Nicholson got it from Grimes. Short one inside the 50. And Blease comes across in front of the leading players coming up the ground. One a defender, one the leading forward, and takes the mark just inside the 50. This will take a very good kick. He's never kicked an AFL goal. Sam Blease. Saw him last season play a very good game on this ground. He was first or second all time. On the 50, that's a beautiful looking kick. It's just tailing away at the end, offhand. Still a live ball in front of the pack. After it goes Gibbs, a lot of the football already. Kicks it out towards the wing. Grimes reaching over the top of Judd. Working behind is Garlett, and Garlett goes in high on Grimes. Now, Garlett's a bit unlucky there. Grimes apparently went to ground, as you can see, he did. And the free kick going to it.
Frawley gets it from Nicholson. And then a long ball right to the full forward zone. Warnock up very, very high. Rove and snap. Was that Nicholson? Not sure. Howe it was. So Howe's kicked the goal. Thanks for that, Den. So Howe crumbing beautifully. And the Demons, well, it's very early, isn't it? Very early. But they've controlled the ball. They've had a lot more of the footy so far than Carlton. So having some trouble from the set shots, Howe, but that was a lovely pick up and snap.
They look a lot sharper at the moment. They're sort of moving a lot quicker.
This is a great bit of crumbing here, but promising stuff from Melbourne. They're 18th in the competition for disposal. At this stage, they've had 35 to Carlton's 20, so they're off to a flyer.
Jamar doing exactly that. Won it down. Ellard slips it back. Scotland kicks inside the forward 50. Committing to the pack. Frawley did well. Watts knew where the help was. Gave it across to Rivers. Rivers out wide. Bale's got the run of it. Carlton can't get the footy at the moment. He goes towards the wing. Tapscott is there with Gibbs. Gibbs has been good, and he gets the ball out of bounds. So 38 possessions to 22 Melbourne's way. Boundary throw in. Just the attacking side of the wing for the Demons. Who knows? Can they build on this? Their opening quarter against the Hawks a few weeks back was very good. They led from memory at quarter time as the kick comes down inside the forward 50. Back goes Tui, lays it off. Bauer runs to centre half back. He went a long way. Kicks it out wide, giving Garlett a chance to run at the footy. Pushed off it though by Nicholson. Nicholson sends it forward. Grimes goes inside. And now it's an opportunity for Magna. He sets up a teammate in Trengo.
Trengo to half forward. Scotland was in the right spot. Tapscott made a contest. And now Simpson So Simpson going to try and weave his way through. Then uses the handball. Heard the umpire, so Ellard's kicked down the ground. Rivers has been very good in this first quarter, and a boundary throw in. So Scotland a bit ginger with the ankle there.
I reckon there's a bit of a problem too for Carlton. This is the incident, just putting the leg up there and getting crunched. But at the moment, it's Hampson, it's also Cruiser that have been on those long leads, and both of them have been covered for speed.
Well, where's Walker? Because he's the guy you'd be thinking would be suited to that, wouldn't you? So Simpson at centre wing. So here's Hampson. This high ball in. Garland crosses him. Well done, Betts. He's got an open space in front of him. And that angle was always going to beat him the way he kicked that ball, and it'll roll out. You talked to me before the game, Tim, about a few of Melbourne stats, and one of them was their time in front. It was 9%, I think, wasn't it?
9% of game this year, yeah.
They're doing well at the moment.
They
They've
are.
been in front for most of the day.
They've only won 4 quarters of footy for the year too, so by any measurement, they've had a stinker so far.
Padding their stats then at the moment. Grimes goes after it, slips a hand pass out wide. Rivers has been good. Nicholson, I think he'll be content to take it out. No, that's adventurous, and it pays off. Nicholson goes inside. Now they can run it up the ground. This is Blease, a couple of bounces. Goes across the wing, looks inside the forward 50. Kick comes down towards Green, tackled by Tui. Strong tackle, took him down. The Irishman did well. No prior opportunity, so a bounce, nevertheless, in a dangerous place for the Blues.
This is a really good handball too that came out. Just put Blease into great space.
Talk about taking the game on. That was terrific. Cruz gets the ball. Hand pass comes across, taken by Joseph. Got it from Judd towards the wing. Knocked down in front. Wonderful courage by McKenzie.
So they've had some high tackles against them, which means they're getting in first and hard. Watts kicks a good one. Howe's marked it.
Ball back 1 metre, play on.
And then Howe, well, that's a hard kick to control for Dunn. Needs to toe poke it. Gibbs down low. Who's got the footy? Bootsma, it comes ricocheting out. Kersner has to quickly get it on the boot. Now Frawley's just got to chase it. He needed the bounce to be a little kinder than that, but that's okay. But they saved some time there, Carlton. They were able to get some troops back. Now Nicholson.
And they've got to work harder, Demons, too, at retaining the ball once it goes inside their attacking 50.
See what happens here, Tim. The kick forward, and Clark's going to get a free.
Block, needs Clark. Took your eyes off the footy and blocked him from going for the mark.
Well, Carlton have carried on from their last quarter against the Crows, haven't they? They're flat. They are really flat here.
See clearly there, Jamison just taking Clark out. Here's that hard ball, just won at ground level by Geordie McKenzie. Never questioned him in that area.
So Mitch Clark, who's been terrific this year. In fact, he's clearly the leading goal kicker at the club. 17 goals for the season. He's going at just over 50% with set shots. So important kick, this one. Is it going to come back? I don't think so. So, oh, that's a disappointing result.
11-5 inside 50, so they're getting the ball there often enough, Melbourne. They've just got to take those opportunities.
Mitch Clark has been a valuable acquisition this season, though. Simpson goes to the pocket. Bauer had a bit of the football. As we said, late inclusion. Dropped on Thursday night. Back into the team this afternoon. Henderson and Yaron, the players who pulled out. Here's Blease. Good pressure again from Melbourne. Blease's kick is a beauty. An absolute beauty. Well, I think Bruce hit the nail on the head. They're flat. They were so meek last week. Carlton just disappeared into the afternoon. And that's transferred to this afternoon. Clearly they thought this might be a bit easy. It still might be, but gee, Melbourne are up and about, and give anyone a sniff like this. A couple of losses, they've got close, 21 and 18 points. 21 points, can't remember against whom, but 18 against St Kilda.
So
Blues, they just couldn't move the ball there, and Blues has been really promising in this first quarter. We saw him run and bounce the ball through the centre of the ground, and then that finish was just outstanding. And just what Melbourne needed too, because they are dominating this game, but not on the scoreboard just yet.
he only knows one way, Blease, doesn't he? He had a couple of options at the top of the goal square, but he's gets the ball and goes. And that's what Melbourne are doing at the moment. They're a couple up. McKenzie gets the handball from Maloney. Quick ball to full forward. Green and Clark, a couple of their better players there. Jamison and Clark in a bit of a wrestle. That ball's still out. In fact, Jamison and Clark have forgotten about the ball.
Just roll over and have a cigarette.
Yeah. So a beastly act in the back pocket by the two of them, eh? And Judd's long ball out wide. Missed by Betts. Missed by Maloney. On the up was Ellard, and then Simpson. Joseph back in the team. McLean back in the team. Back to Ellard. Ellard's kicked to half forward. This is where they've been really struggling, isn't it?
Yep.
That ball going forward. Rivers has had a picnic in the first quarter and a boundary throw in.
I just don't reckon that's Hampson's go to play that tall role where he's going to be pushing so far up the ground and then trying to lead to the ball. I mean, Rivers is not the quickest defender in the game, but he's going to be able to gather him for speed.
So Melbourne up by 14 points at the moment. Boundary throw in. Judd behind the pack. Tackled by McKenzie. McKenzie step for step with him. Magna in the opposite direction.
Nicholson's been good in the early part of this game too, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Off half back, picking up Garlett. Garland's got the big job on Eddie Betts.
He had a purple patch, Nicholson, last year, didn't he? When Melbourne were going well, he was sort of the new good thing, wasn't he, at the time?
He's got an appetite for it this afternoon. A couple of times he's done some hard running that wasn't rewarded, but it's great to see. Simpson goes down towards the pocket. In front, wanting a free kick down there was Rivers. Nothing doing. Knocking it out of the congestion was Hampson. Into the path of McLean. Trent goes over the football. Ball's not coming out, though. The ball up. Just in from the boundary. Right full forward for Carlton, who could do with a goal.
Yeah, Rivers, big numbers. Grimes, that back half player. Simpson, who started well in the last couple of matches, hasn't he? And then faded against the Saints and the Crows. So he's only had 6. Oh, gee, Robinson. I mean, he won't be happy.
Let go. Hits. Let go.
That could have been really dangerous the way he was thrown into the fence there. No wonder he was upset. It'd be a hard ball to win right now. J-Mar, who gets their head over it. Simpson gets it from the water, bang up the front, and nothing paid. Tapscott's a tough nut. Bale takes Simpson on, head on, and suddenly there's some fire in the belly, isn't there?
He copped it from both sides. This is the earlier one. There's Magna, who only knows one way to play as well, and Robinson not happy with that, and then bang, Simpson goes down again. So great intent from Melbourne.
There's Robinson, and he's missed. From memory, he was the man that spoke about bruise-free football against Melbourne, wasn't it, last year?
He did.
It was him.
Ah, well, he's got it.
Do you reckon the players have been reminded, Dennis?
Maybe. Got the Irish whip into the fence. Never good. Might have a bruise himself now. Early, as the ball goes towards the outer side. He could have had the last laugh there, though, running into the open goal. It's out of bounds on the full. Running into the open goal, but he missed. Here's Cruiser getting the free kick. Sends it back down towards full forward. Oh, and a strong mark. That's what they were hoping for, Hampson. Now, if I can lip read, I don't want part of it, but I think Rivers was saying third man up. He wanted some help there.
He needed help. And this is why this is the kick. I mean, that's really a really poor kick. Frawley was on his own. This is where you want Hampson parked. I mean, for height advantage, you don't want him running up the ground trying to present it half forward. That's not his go. That is his go.
He wanted Garland to come, but Garland was very preoccupied with his man, and as a result, Hampson kicks the goal.
So the D's have kicked 2 out of bounds on the full coming out of the back half. One on this side of the ground, closest to the commentary position, and on the far side. So just slack kicking, eh? And there's the goal that Carlton needed so badly to get to kickstart their afternoon. But Rivers,
Just
obviously,
that skill error, isn't it?
Yeah.
It was interesting then, the Melbourne defenders just having a bit of a powwow.
So Hampson kicked 11 goals in the first 6 matches, none in the last couple until now. So Magna and Robinson, McKenzie and Judd. So he had a good start, Hampson, to the year. Continuity's been his problem throughout his career. Judd gave it to McLean, to Robinson, to Perno, and now a kick from Collins to half forward. And suddenly they're up and going a bit. Hampson on the burst this time. Kicks the ball to the pocket. It's a lazy kick. Got a good bounce though, Cruiser. Frawley belts it down the line. And Curnow couldn't quite take control of it in a boundary throw.
Looks like Armfield has actually gone to half forward now. He's playing a defensive role on Jack Watts.
So Watts with those 34 disposals against the Swans last week. Mackenzie down low, McLean, ex-teammate of course, 94 games with the D's. In fact, he was taken 5 in the draft. Colin Sylvia taken 3 in that same draft. Melbourne would be saying they haven't got value for money out of those 2 high picks.
There's the bounce then, just outside the 50. Backhanded down nicely by Warnock. Judd, clever hand pass. Ellard released. Sends it well inside the 50 now. Again, the tall timber. Well done by McDonald to get it away from Walker. McDonald has Walker in his back. No. Tackle was fair, says the umpire. He was standing only a couple of metres away.
Carlton hands as well.
This is starting to become a bit of a worry too for Melbourne. The clearance is now 10-5 Carlton's way.
By Nichols. Making the point there. Off the Carlton hands before a Melbourne player controlled the footy. And now it's going to be a free kick for in the back to Ellard. David Ellard, who booted 3 goals the week before last. Hails from Swan Districts in Western Australia. Gee, not much to that.
It's paid the hold, I think, Tim, the hold of the arm earlier.
Well, if that's the case.
That's what the umpire said.
Did he? Okay. If that's the case, he could have been right. Didn't see that, but certainly it looked very tame push in the back. Just a little nudge. And here comes Ellard and misses to the near side. Never had it or had it on line.
So let off for the D's. They've just got a sniff again now, Carlton. So Melbourne have led a couple of times, as we've said, at quarter time. But generally they've been out of the match pretty early. Dunn's kick is not great. And then Nicholson puts some pressure on Simpson. And Scotland back to Collins, to Cruiser. Collins will get it back. Then Collins, good sidestep, found some space, kicks the ball forward. Watts did well. He stood. He knew they were coming, but it was Garlick coming, but it was a good mark.
He actually positioned himself really well as that spare player back there then.
How much taller than Gibbs is he? Just looking in there, he's similar physique to Gibbs, isn't he? He's a quick foot kick forward. Is he a bit taller, Tim? I guess he is.
Yeah, no, he'd be a couple of centimetres taller.
Yeah. So Jones out of that back half, building forward. Tringove in the contest. Bootsma at the back. The big roar goes up. Back to Magna. Hands were okay. To Bale. Bale's kick along the ground is a pretty good one. Seller front spot. Bootsma, that was clever.
Ellard, defensive side of the wing. Sends it down towards the half-forward line, but Rivers comes up and takes the defensive mark.
Loved what Jared Rivers is doing at the moment. He's a senior player in the team. He needed to stand up. His first quarter's been fantastic, and Capel has really helped Melbourne launch off half-back, stopping a quality player in Sean Hampson as well.
McDonald to Watts. Short one comes to Frawley. But Bootsma on cheer squad first game. Not bad. Here's Blease, who doesn't believe in reputations. Tries to take on Garlett this time. Garlett was chasing last time. He wanted to run around Chris Judd.
He stopped the bite to take
He gets 10 out of 10 for confidence, that young man, number 17. He has kicked a beautiful goal. That can turn your head. Long kick downwards, full forward off hands. Oh, had it set up for Green. He was away on his left foot. Green is hurt on the ground. Clark is snapping at goal. McKenzie gave him the hand pass. It's through.
Brad Green could smell a goal there. I mean, that was his for the taking. He just couldn't get a handle on the footy. And Mackenzie, the industrious Mackenzie, after Green took the hard knock, got it to Clark. Clark could snap. Missed the set shot earlier. Clark got it back. So Melbourne get that little breathing space. And you feel like we're going to be at least in front at quarter time today after that goal from Clark.
This is what Mark Neeld would absolutely love from Brad Green, just going hard and low. That's what he's been asking of him all season. Creates a goal out of a fantastic contest. Nearly stuffed it up, but to follow up and take the hit, well done.
Cameron Ling on the boundary line. So McLean, fumble by Walker, Ellard in hard, and that would be a ball up.
That was a nice soft handball too from Mackenzie, wasn't it, to set that goal up?
It was. And you think of Mackenzie really just a tackling, battering ram that's a run with player. So a little finesse there from him. Magna quickly forward. Tap Scott and Bootsman. Two guys that haven't played much footy. And Bootsman doing well again. And Joseph to Jamison. And then Jamison, well, the kick was directed okay, but didn't quite carry to Simpson. And then Gibbs went for a ride. Bale, cleverly done, got it forward. Clark with the one hand. Now he needs to get it up. Clark, he does. Well cut off by Robinson. Riding it. Oh, getting high, I thought, but no. It's play on the foot. He's not out yet. Now to be a ball up.
Too many players from Melbourne then. If you looked at the way that's... Just watch
Bale,
this tackle here from Robinson went pretty high there too. He also came in pretty high. Too many Melbourne players actually got on the outside of that circle in that contest.
J-Mark tries to tap it forward. McLean, good tackle on Cruiser. Howe gets it out. Maloney runs into Betts, and then Betts gets it back. And now Robinson is... The Blues are away.
Simpson through midfield to the run of Gibbs. Gibbs goes long. Hampson in best position. A kick from about 40 metres out. Rivers, well, I suppose not having a body on him is not the worst thing, but Rivers couldn't get a run at him. He was trying to turn at the time, Rivers, as the ball was coming in. Yeah. There you go. Can't get any momentum, can't get any height.
I reckon the first thing you've got to do as a defender is go to your direct opponent. He was actually trying to protect the goals in River. He should have stayed with Hampson, just bodied him.
Well, Hampson misses wildly out to the right-hand side. Ratton, a few anxious moments to start this one. Grimes in the back pocket then. 21 plays 9. Approaching quarter time.
Sorry, Dennis. Disposals have just about evened up though now between the two teams. So Carlton getting plenty of the ball for a change.
Hampson takes a strong mark. It's going to be a Melbourne free kick though. It's going to Seller, who was behind him. Grabbed hold of as he had a run on Hampson. Teammate trying to protect Hampson gives up the kick. I think it was Tui.
It was. So Seller back. Magna's been busy. Bale. That's a dangerous kick. Very, very dangerous kick. Cut off by Robinson, and he'll enjoy that. So, not the first poor kick coming out of the back half of the D's today. I mean, it was just too slow. It was too long and too slow. Yeah. The hang time meant...
Those diagonal kicks just hang in the air for so long. It gives somebody the opportunity to run the ball down, as Robinson did then.
So, Tim, you think the 2 goals that they've kicked today so far, Carlton, one from a kick that went out of bounds on the full, and one from a diagonal kick across the ground cut off by Robinson.
Well, here's a kick. It's a long diagonal kick. I mean, Robinson was just sitting back waiting and hoping that they would take that kick, and it had to travel quicker. And
I don't want to be too harsh, but I think Jack could have done a bit more too, couldn't he? Just got the body in line with the running player and made a collision as the ball comes out wide. Still easy from up here. Men wearing makeup shouldn't give advice. That's what we say. We've got a boundary throw in and a little bit of pushing and shoving. In fact, it's going to be a free kick to Carlton. Bootsma's been very impressive. He's a tough hombre. Not much of him from South Fremantle. Simpson to Tui. Goes through midfield. Drives it long. From the backline hold here, Frawley puts his man down strongly. Plays on immediately, having taken the mark, goes to Seller. Bale, anxious to make amends, is on for the hand pass. Clock is just over the minute. Bale decides to go. Nobody is deep. It's kicked in Tapscott's direction. Oh, terrible bounce. Comes to him now. Taken down. Did it come off the boot? I'm not sure it did. Doesn't matter. Touched across the line by Joseph going back. And that was, I think, the tackle laid by Scotland in the goal square that was the saving tackle.
Gee, that was a quick transition by the D. Seller was a very good mark, and they were able to get it forward. So Jamar and Warnock. McLean at the back. Missed him. Rivers has had a massive opening term, and McKenzie happy to run it out.
Cade Simpson's up to 9. In fact, he's up to 10 now, and 8 of those have been uncontested now. They are warning signs for Melbourne.
He's had over 30 a couple of times this year, Tim. He had a great match against the Dockers on a Friday night, Simpson.
Well, generally when he gets a lot of the ball, Carlton play well, so...
Free kick up here.
Free kick off the ball here, boys. Robinson against Frawley. Head-high contact. That's going to hurt if Carlton can kick a goal off the back of this late in the quarter.
Gee, 20 seconds to go. You'd be fuming if you're Mark Neal, but I guess everything's relative in life for him at the moment. They kick the ball forward, and there you go. Well,
that should have happened.
Frawley's just...
Well, you've got Garland against Betts in a marking contest. They're good on the break, though, the Blues, aren't they? They're great at being able to create that space.
Well, this helps them anyway. He can't run around, can he? So he has to kick it straight down the line.
He's kicked 3 goals in the last 4 weeks, Betts. He kicked 13 in the first 4, so he's had a little dry patch here. As Dennis said, he's got to hold the line here. He's going to go check side from the pocket.
Oh,
it's a good kick. He's kicked it. He's smiling. I think Frawley's not right now, and Mark Neal should be absolutely livid. But they are in front, the D's. One small step, eh? It's 22-21 in an interesting first quarter on a Sunday afternoon at the MCG.
Maybe beating Carlton at the moment, particularly with Carazzo and Murphy out of their midfield.
Start of the second term, Melbourne up by a point then, 22 players 21. Interesting first term. Warnock knocks it down. Ellard's got the run of it. Tackled by Maloney. Ball jarred out of there. Nicholson left the ball behind. Or rather, Ellard kicked it into an oncoming player. It ricochets across to Maloney. He's immediately grabbed by Armfield and will have a ball up. That was interesting with Eddie Betts kicking a great goal after the siren. Melbourne players all lined up as if they were trying to prevent him from playing on. Not sure about the wisdom of that. They wanted him to play on. It was after the siren. Down goes Grimes. Maybe they wanted to abuse him. Here's Robinson. He's been good. Crashes through the pack and kicks a goal. Puts Carlton in front. Gets his second goal. And there's a bit of carnage behind the play.
He has been good, Robinson, hasn't he? I mean, he was fired up earlier in the match when he went into the boundary fence, but just good tackle. Yeah.
Great tackle by Simpson, and really quick hands there off the ground there by Ellard, and great follow-up too by Robinson. The clearances are starting to become a real worry, though, for Melbourne. 14-7. Carlton right on top.
Boys, just quickly, Brad Green spent a lot of time down the rooms, and Melbourne are likely to activate their sub. Jamie Bennell will come on. Brad Green in a lot of trouble, probably from that contest deep in the Melbourne forward line that created the goal, but he's very sore and probably won't play anymore, and they'll activate.
Gee, okay, that's bad luck for the D's. So Robinson with a couple, and Carlton, who've trailed in this match basically for the whole game, find themselves in front. So
looks like Nicholson's responsible for Simpson now. You see Bennell just getting a bit of a massage before he comes on.
He was the sub last week as well. So McKenzie held up. Judd's got the tackle on him. Now it's going to be interesting. Lingy talked about how much he liked Melbourne in that first quarter. We all did for bits of it. Let's see how they respond here. Carlton been able to get to the front. Early goal here, late goal in that first quarter. McLean, so again getting those clearances. Garlett's kicked to centre half forward. Robinson. Collins showed a bit of toe to Gibbs, and then Gibbs with a soft kick, not a good kick though. And Melbourne able to get it away. Garland did well to Watts, to Grimes. Grimes inside. Maloney sweeps it to Bale.
Bale on the wing then, slips it over. Nicholson has it. Bale has it now. Between the lines, half forward in the wing, goes down towards the pocket. Done with a chance. Well, we got the reverse swing very early. Out of bounds on the full. Rueful look from the coach. Ended and done. Journeyman now at Melbourne. He started in a blaze of glory as a centre-half forward, but just hasn't lived up to that promise yet. Here's Simpson, the man that Tim was talking about.
Tim, you've spoken a lot about Kade Simpson. I'm watching this game right now, and I'm trying to work out exactly who is playing on him, and I'm not sure.
Gibbs to Simpson. Well, chasing him at the moment is done, suggesting Trengove pick him up through the midfield. Trengove is sprinting with him now as Simpson continues his run across the ground towards this pair. Watts and Armfield, the ball close to the boundary line. If we pull back, there's Trengove. I'm not far away from him. Take my word for it, is Simpson. There's Simpson.
And that's what he does so well. Not only is he a good player in the midfield at getting the ball inside the attacking 50, but he's also good at getting in behind the defence and creating.
McLean had 8 clearances against the Bombers in the only game he's played so far this year. Rivers had a really good opening term, and that's a lovely kick coming out of the back half. Frawley.
Oh dear.
Again, pretty average kick now. Dunn, well, he didn't want the ball to stay in if Gibbs was going to get hold of it, but in the end it turns out okay, and it's a boundary throw in.
And it just puts you under pressure, doesn't it? You're breaking free, your teammate's free. All you need to do is hit the target, retain possession, set up further down the field. You miss that target, puts everybody under pressure.
Jamar front spot. Judd and Ellard went for the same ball. Maloney. Tringo did well to keep the ball in.
Down towards right half forward. Seller got hands to it. Jones overran it though. Robinson picked it up. Tried to give it across to McLean. It's gone out of bounds. Bauer and Seller. So boundary throw in right half forward.
They need to win this stoppage here, Melbourne.
Melbourne on the attack. Jamar fell to ground. So did Cruiser. Wide of the pack. It's taken by Joseph. Goes for the outside of the boot. Robinson again. The most industrious player so far. Betts, Judd swings it wide. Woodsman, cult hero. Kicks it down towards half forward. McDonald, awkward wait. Chested it forward. Goes after the footy. Well done, Betts. Walker now Judd. Judd lines up and hangs it out to the right.
In space, I don't think there's a better team at being able to maintain or retain the ball than Carlton, and that's exactly what's happening here now. The game's just starting to open up a little bit, and that's where Carlton are at their absolute best. Not an Etihad Stadium side, the ground's a little bit smaller, but they get here at the MCG where they've got plenty of space to operate in, and they're hard to stop.
So
High tackle. That's the mark, Reece. Thanks.
Melbourne fans want 50 because the ball was kicked on after this.
Bootsman's got a bit about him.
He has.
Yes, yeah. No, there's a lot of life about him.
He's had a couple of contests both with the ball and without the ball today. He's got some spirit, that's for sure. Joseph back. Ellard. So Ellard controls a good kick. Robinson's been magnificent. Judd really working into the game. And then Judd goes to the pocket, looking for Collins. Wasn't a great kick. And Forty in the end took a clever mark.
Well, switch here. Not much on way up the field, though.
McDonald goes straight up the middle. Rivers jabs it forward. That was a good kick. Man was pretty close to the man who was kicking, but didn't affect the kick. And Bale sends it inside the forward 50. And the mark is taken by Clark.
Great movement there, Dennis, from backline too. And they actually came up through the corridor. They use the corridor sparingly, Melbourne. They do like to hug the boundary line. They're a boundary line team, but on that occasion they just spread the field and they looked so much more damaging when they came through the corridor.
The element of surprise, Tim.
I think so.
Rivers' kick was a good one though. The man was almost across his boot and somehow he got it out. As Bruce would say, he squeezed it out and found a teammate. So Clark, important kick this one, just to restore a little self-belief. He's got one goal this afternoon. His kicking at goal has been good this season, and that's no exception. He's got two now. Great to see Ron Barassi in the crowd. Bit of a smile, something to smile about. Melbourne legend.
He's good on the lead, isn't he, Clark? He really pushes hard at the ball.
And Ron's still a good chaser too.
He is. When Brass watches this match, you must think of the times at Melbourne and also at Carlton. I mean, amazing career, wasn't it?
Yep.
Ronald Dale Barassi, a legend of the game in the 1950s. There's Jack Elliott with him in the 1950s with Melbourne, and then over to Carlton, North Melbourne and Sydney.
He wouldn't get much watching done though, would he? Because he's the best known man in football, perhaps of his time certainly, and everyone's going up to have a chat.
Why not? It's like being with the Pope, isn't it?
Yeah.
Curnow out wide, so Gibbs with time and space, and normally a great user of the footy. Down he goes to Walker. Walker had a lot of the ball against the Crows. It was the only game this year he hasn't kicked a goal so far. Now Hampson's in a good spot. It was a lovely kick by Walker.
That's where you want Hampson to, inside 50, inside 40. He's really going to trouble these Melbourne defenders because of his height and his reach.
Interesting duel, Tim, isn't it? Because Rivers has been so good, but this will be Hampson's third shot on goal. He's kicked one, missed one.
Had 5 marks.
So he's a handful, isn't he? Even though Rivers is doing some really good stuff. So Hampson, that one, is it coming back? Not making the distance. So I wonder with Hampson now, like Warnock's back in the team. Cruiser's undroppable, you would think. I mean, you would think he's undroppable, Cruiser.
Yes.
So,
Well, Hansen has to establish himself as a forward. That's what he has to do. It's not the ruck work that you need him for. I mean, he's a pinch-hitting ruckman, but so too is Cruiser.
Grimes, Sally McDonald into trouble. Tui doesn't mind a collision, comes up. The ball goes out of bounds.
Bennell now looks to have gone to Simpson, so that's an interesting move. I'm not sure he has the concentration to be able to stop someone like Simpson.
Cruiser knocks it down. Robinson went to ground. Jamar tackles Cruiser. The ball some metres from the pier now, and the umpire calls for it.
Melbourne electing to go without a free player behind the ball, so it's one-on-one contest inside Carlton's forward line. They've got 5 back, the Blues.
Last thing the Blues need is for Melbourne to hang around and be a chance late in the game. They'll be hard to get rid of then. Maloney tries to crash his way through. Watts gave it up. Taken by Cruiser. Sends it long down towards full forward. Betts will get a free. Betts will get a free. He's darting around. He's dancing, but it's his ball. And it will result in a direct shot at goal from about 15 metres away.
Front on contact in the marking context.
Umpire just explaining it, front on contact. As soon as you take your eye off the ball and make contact, you're in trouble.
Well, got to say it today, Garland is treating Eddie Betts as though he's Peter Bosustow. Didn't he?
Yes.
Betts opens the angle, comes in and puts it through. I think you made the point earlier at the other end, Tim, in the first quarter about being too preoccupied with Betts and just not going at the footy. He's a much taller man.
That's right. You've got to watch the ball and you've got to back yourself in. He's a lot taller than Eddie Betts. He's got a significant reach advantage when the ball's in the air. He's just got to back himself, Garland.
so a couple to Betts. Carlton stick away. Now this is the injury for Brad Green. Now he's off the ground now.
Ribs, I reckon.
Yeah, well, we're about to find out because Doc Larkins from 3AW is going to join us. Doc, what's the story with Brad Green?
Epworth Hospital, Bruce. He's coughing up blood. He's got a lung contusion underneath that rib injury, so precautionary scans. Hospital at the moment for Brad.
Thanks for that, Doc. So that's pretty serious stuff. So Green, precautionary x-rays off to Epworth Hospital. Bennell has come on as a sub. Thank you to AW and to the Doc there from our Saturday night team as well. So Grimes kick out wide. Mark taken by Scotland. So that the Melbourne train's not derailed right now today, but you feel it's just hanging on the tracks. They need to stay close, and Ellard read it best. He had Garlett running past him. He was confident. He probably should have used the handball, to be truthful. And it's a second behind for Ellard today. But Carlton getting a wriggle on here. Watts, good stretch, good mark, and that's a pretty good kick, actually. Gives Bale a wonderful opportunity. Well done, Joseph. Now Bale handball over the top. Can they set it up? Kick forward by Tapscott to the pocket. Clark's a good reach. Bale worked really hard there now. That's Dunn. Dunn and also Bauer. Bauer over the top. Cut off by Dunn. And that's a better kick by Dunn. Oh, he was just done at the end, wasn't he? That was a very good effort.
Kick comes in towards the outer side, reaching over the top. Simpson. Numbers favour the Blues. McLean's away. And it goes back to Simpson. Not sure about that. May not have been much on up ahead. Moments ago, Watts. A very clever hand pass. Back in defence, winning a hard ball on his knees. Good to see. As Walker comes across the ground. Jamison. Short to Robinson. Robinson, 11 possessions, but he's been worth more than that.
Great kick.
Wasn't bad, was it? Armfield. Tui. Now, Tui's not a bad kick. This one is working back nicely. It's a goal. The Irishman, one of the best Irishmen to kick in Aussie rules football.
Yeah, good call, Dennis. That's a great kick, good finish. We've seen him do it before, haven't we?
Yep.
He is a natural. He's not Robert Redford, perhaps, but he is a natural
I
kick.
reckon we may have said this before, but he and Hanley at Brisbane actually look the most natural players. Not saying they're anywhere near the best, but just with ball in hand, they seem to be like just in their natural habitat.
That wasn't Jimmy Steins' style, was it?
No.
Just so much space there, Timo.
Too
Great
much.
finish, wasn't it? But
Yeah. And that didn't come from a kick-in. That actually came from general play. They had plenty of time to set up their Melbourne, and Carlton used the ball so well, and the expanses of the MCG.
So they've kicked 5 of the last 6. And the other thing, Robinson's kick was so good, wasn't it?
It was brilliant on his left foot, and that's something that he's been criticised for, his disposal. He's been a real live wire, a lot of energy about his performance today.
He could have gone short then, and he went the longer one with the left and broke the line and really opened it up. So Melbourne now have to respond. They're in familiar territory at the moment. Jamar couldn't find the ball. Robinson did. And then a couple of tackles on him.
And for the first time this afternoon too, Carlton are now shading them for contested possession. So they're really getting on top there. 20 to 8 clearances. This is a real danger period for Melbourne.
To Jamar and also Warnock. A couple of southpaws. Little kick by Maloney, didn't go far. Bennell couldn't get to the contest. Garlett, Walker. Clever kick, Walker, actually. It was well done to Scotland. Now they're running hard. Robinson back to Joseph. Joseph to Warnock. It's good to see him back, Warnock. And then Warnock lopes it to centre-half forward. Melbourne had the numbers. Cruiser roving and then taking them on and bashing the ball forward. Betts will be dangerous here. Garland's with him, and then he sockers it straight out to Armfield.
Bad luck.
That was great the way Cruiser went after that ball too, wasn't it? I really like the way Carlton, their key forwards actually stayed deep. They created a lot of space between the forward line and the midfield, and then they kept their defenders guessing, and then Cruiser's attack on the ball was just outstanding.
He kicked a couple of goals in the first match of the MCG this year against the Tigers. Hasn't had a set shot this year, Armfield. And Carlton are going well. They've kicked 6 of the last 7, and they've kicked away.
Well, that time the problem was on the ground for Garland, and he did pretty well. He won the battle with Betts. At least he had the run of the ball, but the numbers arrived for the Blues quicker than help did from Melbourne, and he just had to hack it out of the goal square. And it went to the wrong spot. Cruiser and Judd on the bench. Mark Murphy joins us live at half-time. Looking forward to that. Good to see him smiling again after that collision with Patrick Dangerfield last week. Adelaide had a big win, but not last night at home against Collingwood. Nathan Buckley really doing a fine job of the Magpies now. They're on a roll and they're playing some good footy. Ball inside the forward 50. Plenty of bodies there, and the umpire calls for it about 40 metres out from Melbourne's attacking goal. And fair to say now they need a goal. They led by a point at quarter time. Just the one goal in this quarter since, opposed to Carlton's 4. Warnock with the run. First hand of the ball, gets it down to McLean. Falling to the ground, Simpson knocked it forward. Going in a little clumsily there was Bale. Play goes on. Simpson gets to his feet. And we get a whistle.
If you're Mark Neal just sitting up in the box now and you're wanting a response from your team, they've been in this situation so many times already this year. That bloke on screen now just wants to see who responds now, who puts their shoulder to the wheel.
To paraphrase the Foo Fighters, Tim, he's looking for a sign of life. Ball about 40 metres out. The bounce will happen again. This has been a dreadful quarter for Melbourne, the second.
They've gone quiet, haven't they?
Yeah, well, not just today. I mean, it's historically this season just no good for them, because this is where it all goes pear-shaped. There's a free kick for Jamar. So this is good news for the D's. He's a long kick, and he's kicked a few goals in his time. Mark Jamar. This will take his best effort. The breeze, I think, is blowing against him, but he's well protected. Man on the mark is about 45 metres out. That's Gibbs. So Jamar sends it on its way, and this one is working way right. Got the distance okay, but it's a behind.
Wingy said earlier in the afternoon that he wants to see a response from the more mature players, the leaders at Melbourne. And they're not leaders in name. They haven't been actually named captains, but I mean, Jones has been quiet, Maloney's been quiet. They're the sorts of blokes who really need to show something now, some real life and some real spark for Melbourne.
They've got nobody out there, Tim, that's played 150 games. I mean,
no.
Green's off the ground. He was the only one in the lineup that had played 150. It's a youthful team, but they've got blokes that have been around for long enough. That's a good match. Jim Robinson is probably BOG in this opening half. He's been as good as anybody, up there with Simpson, I think. Bauer getting it from Scotland. And now Jamison and Carlton are streaming forward. They're lining up. Collins gets it from Curnow. He'd love to do something really good, Collins. He's stopped and propped. He's okay. He gets it to Walker, who could kick a goal from there. And that transition, oh so easy for the Blues. They had options, didn't they?
Every time they've broken from half-back this quarter, they've had options, and that simply means that Melbourne players aren't working hard enough.
Dennis talked about second quarters. Well, he was referring to a lot of their matches this year, and that Friday night, they kicked 2 points to 6-6 against Hawthorn on that Friday night in this second term. They were hammered in this term, so Walker, who's kicked 99 career goals, over 50 in one season. That was last year. Is that his 100th? It won't be. It's a little tug at the end. Belted away. Handball by Grimes. Okay. Oh, too slow there. McDonald coming out. Betts. And then back to McKenzie. And McKenzie screws it with a spiral. Carlton were lining up, and they sport one another a bit in the end. Going to ground. Frawley. Free kick.
So that last kick out of defence, that was just a kick in hope again, wasn't it?
So it's Tapscott. It's free.
Robinson's up to 8 this quarter, 5 marks. So he's been everywhere. He's been doing it at both ends of the ground too.
Timmy, you reckon he might be eyeing off a spot in the midfield with Murphy out?
Well, somebody had to put their hand up, didn't they, Ling?
Yeah, it's good to see. And this man here, Brock McLean, he's also added a little bit through the middle of the ground.
Louise gets another chance after what was a very poor kick. Sends it down towards half forward. Good mark by Dunwell almost. Recovers well. Goes looking for the leading player in Clark, and he stretches to his full height and takes a very good mark.
He's a real target, isn't he?
Oh,
Clark?
terrific.
He pushes so hard to the ball, Dennis. I mean, the real problem is just getting enough supply for him. That's been their problem all year.
Well, he's lining up here at his third. He started the day with 17, so looking at 20. 5 against the West Coast Eagles in round 2. That's not bad output from a player playing up forward for Melbourne, wearing a famous number 2 in the history of the Melbourne Football Club, number 11, Laurie Mithen from those great days. And he misses to the left-hand side. Saw Ron Barassi earlier. Laurie, of course, starred in teams alongside Ron Barassi. 5 premierships, Laurie. Wow, 2 best and fairest.
What a period it was for the D's, eh? Gibbs out wide. Handball back. And Rivers. Nicholson has started well. Jones. Only player who's averaged over 20 disposals this season for Melbourne. Shows you where they've been at and been able to get hold of the footy. So Bale got it from Garland. Now Bale to set it up to full forward. Clark will be the target. Ball gets to the back. Dunn well. Dunn probably should have left it for Bennell. And Dunn, who can be really wasteful. And he's been just that in this second quarter, Dunn. He's had 3 shots on goal, and he's hit the post once, but the other 2 have been awful.
That was a really good kick, actually, from Dunn to Clark, though. He kicked it on the outside of his boot. It was a really nice, soft kick.
Cruiser goes to the outer side. Curnow roving the pack. Armfield took a swing and missed the footy. Watts, Jones sold into trouble. McKenzie, Bale. Just get the feeling Melbourne are trying to rally here. Big leap at the football down there from Howe. He's hurt. He collected Tapscott on the way through. 2 Melbourne players side by side on the ground. If nothing else, this fellow can leap. Jeremy Howe.
There's an elbow right in the midsection there too.
He averages 6 marks a game, but with Howe, it's not how many, it's Howe. Just takes off. That mark last week. Getting up to his feet, Scotland. Jamar feeds it back. Jones goes further back. Watts settles, pops the ball in the air. Dunn was drifting off his man, couldn't take the mark, didn't touch it in effect. Well done by Jamison. Releases Simpson.
And Simpson's kick. McDonald held his ground pretty well against Collins. Seller, and that will be a boundary thrown on with you, Dennis. Melbourne they've dug in for the last 5 minutes.
Yep.
They haven't got any reward, but they've dug in. They need a goal. They need it for themselves and the effort, and also for that scoreboard. It'll be close at half-time. Jamar hasn't been able to knock it out, and then cruises over him, and it'll be a ball up. It's going to be a talking point, Tim, about the 3 rucks for Carlton going forward. Whether Waite's got to come back into the team. How do they structure up? Do they go with Warnock and the other 2 big guys? So certainly they'll give it a week or 2 for sure. Warnock back in today. Now Frawley's check side gives Clark half a go. Ooh. Bootsma got involved. Did Jamison. And then Bootsma and Jamison and Clark, and then the tackle by Howe over the top. Gibbs lurking in there. Ball still not quite out. Carlton try to get it forward. Jones, hands and knees. Gibbs, the ball almost out. I think Ellard put his hands on it, or Joseph, and a ball up.
You're right, though. The last 5 minutes, there's just been a little bit more fight and a little bit more grit in the way they've played Melbourne. Carlton looked like they're out then, but they were able to stop it, hold up, go back to a stoppage. This is what they need to do now, score from this.
That's right. The thing is, they can't be denied here, really. They've got to get something as a reward. Another ball up. So plenty of stoppages. Melbourne, as Bruce said, digging in. You can sense it, but if they were to give up an easy goal at the other end now, you get the feeling that could just about end their resolve.
Carlton had plenty of space. Sorry, Jim. They've plenty of space to operate in the Blues if they get out of here, though, too. They pushed all their numbers up the field.
Melbourne are that brittle. They can't sort of lose these little battles too often, otherwise things go bad very quickly. Now it's going to be a free kick to Carlton, and they get the chance to do exactly what we were talking about. Bring it out, and who knows? Score at the other end. Jamison spots a man breaking towards the outer side. It's Garlett. He's got the football. Running hard is Judd. McKenzie tracks him beautifully, though. Well done, McKenzie. Hard running, stayed with Judd, denied him. Jamison, across half back to Bauer. Robinson comes at him. Man through the interchange gates is Trengove. Totally un-Australian. Robinson doesn't care. Takes the mark. He's at half back. Centres it. So they're just sparring, looking for a way through at the moment. Bootsma recovers his own ball. Goes to Gibbs. Knocked away well by Blease.
Now, Blease, the handball's on here, but he just, a little kick's okay. Gets it to Seller. This is an important play. They're going to get the ball forward in a hurry. Clark in a, well, scoring position. He's got options inside. I think he's going to take a shot.
No, he shouldn't have.
No, we know that, but I think he is.
No, we know he is. He just burnt Bale, though.
Well,
he had to kick that.
Well, he has to kick this now.
Yeah.
He had to kick that. Now he's got to kick this too. And he does. So he's kicked 3 goals. So in the end, the ends justify the means. But it was selfish, wasn't it? But I guess you're a full forward that's there to kick goals, and he took that way. You could either say he's a bit selfish or he's taken responsibility.
That's right. It depends how it goes. And because he kicked the goal, he took responsibility. But he has been, I've seen him a bit this year, and he's been kicking well. So obviously he feels he's in form, and full credit to Bale, who went across and congratulated him.
We're all bailed him out.
Well, it was a great finish, despite what we thought at the time. It was a great finish there by Mitch Clark, but you just wonder whether or not Bale's actually going to run the next time.
That tattoo behind the left ear as well. 20 goals on the season now with the Demon in double figures. So what an acquisition. Just imagine without him. Dean Bailey's thinking what I could have done with him. McDonald tracks it across half back. Watts slips a hand pass away. Back it comes from Jones to Watts to the outer side wing. Melbourne, can they get another one? First back will be Collins. He's over the football, tries to tap it out. Not a strong tap, though. Blease has given them something. He's quick. Around the corner he goes. Awkward half volley for Dunn. Runner outside, ignores that. Sets a high ball down towards Grimes. Grimes and in from the side. The big leap came from Trengove, not noted for that. Falls to Robinson. Kicks to the outer side. Down goes McDonald, staying on his feet. Is Curnow. He's on the wing, sends it down towards half forward, working in front down there. Robinson needed it to go out, or rather Nicholson, taken by Garland across the face of goal. Garland got it on the ground, tried to kick it, couldn't. Betts, Ellard, now Armfield pulls it back too much behind. So Melbourne dodged a bullet there.
That was better from Garland too. He actually just kept his eye on the ball and just used his superior height just to knock the ball down.
So good passage of play by the Blues, but just the behind. This game's lifted in the last 10 minutes. Running a long way, Bale. Out wide, Trengove and Joseph. Carlton have got the numbers. Gibbs, another cruiser, back to Scotland. Scotland has averaged more disposals than any other Blue this year, and that one's not one you'll be absolutely proud of. Curnow back. Joseph back, Cruiser off a step, still got the numbers, Carlton. Bauer, now he had Collins going past the side and not to. Betts on a lead. So there's still plenty of time for a score, one way or the other. We know that. Bowers kicked to about 30 metres. Front spot was Rivers. Armfield was lurking. Frawley sort of dropped it down. Garland, important that Melbourne don't give the free away. That ball is almost out, not quite. Seller almost. Betts, free kick to Betts. No.
She looked high.
Sorry. The umpire was on that side too.
And there's the oh yeah, that hand way over the shoulder from Garland.
So just over a minute to go till half-time. Melbourne trailing by 12, but it does seem closer. Judd to Warnock, who can kick a goal, and this one's not a bad effort, just misses. He's agile when he gets the ball in his hands, Warnock. For the first couple of steps, he's not easy to bring down. That time he had space, but he can use the ball. Garland, short. McDonald, Frawley, Grimes, close to the boundary line. Grimes goes down the line. Up in front, Trengo finds it on the deck. Now it's Howe, actually. Hard tackle by Bootsma. Cruiser, little 1-2 with Bootsma, and the ball goes across the boundary line.
Someone lost their Bootsma there, actually. They just picked it up, Howe. So against Grimes. Gee, Frawley's kick to Grimes was almost going to go out in the full again, wasn't it? So Bootsma so combative, liking him. Warnock. Collins, good half volley. Back to McLean. There are a couple of players who've just got to play well today, don't they? They've got to try and keep some pressure on the selectors. McDonald, Garland held on to. Jones and in hard Hampson. Ball coming out, Maloney. He'll ride the tackle. Judd gets in with Ellard. Well, there were three of them there. Walker was there as well, and there's a baller. It's like a bull, Maloney.
Hampson just off screen there, just pushing back inside. Well, he's not even going to go all the way inside. So Eddie Betts is the only Carlton player now inside 50 against Garland. Be a nervous couple of moments if the long kick goes in there.
Well, Judd was on the burst, but couldn't quite. So that might be it for half-time. Another scrimmage. So would Melbourne be happy, Tim? I mean, they're a couple of goals behind.
I think they've actually fought their way, in general play, they've fought their way back. It looked like Carlton were just going to steamroll them, but they've come back and they've shown a little bit of grit.
McLean bursting through, and that is it at half-time. So the ex-Demon pushes the Blues forward. Simpson and Bale and Hampson.
Walk off. Let it go. Walk off.
Some good stuff by the umpire. Half-time, let it go, walk off. We'll be talking to Neil Craig, and Mark Murphy will join us at half-time. We'll tell you what happened at Etihad today between North Melbourne and the Brisbane Lions. But at half-time here with tempers a little bit flared. It's 7-8 the Blues, 5-7 the Demons on Sunday afternoon at the G.
The Blues, tough man. Tougher it gets, the better he likes it. I think Dunn cut from similar cloth, but perhaps not as talented. After the bounce, Jones went after the ball. Down off the ball went Dunn.
Been done.
And I think we know who done it.
Back on. Just there, Mitch. There, yeah.
So Dunn sends it long. Not a good kick, though. It wobbles off the side of the boot. Still continues to run deep into the attacking zone for Melbourne. Scotland seems to have shaken off that sore ankle. Goes wide to Walker. Walker runs the boundary. Long kick. McLean uses his body, leads back in the race. Coming across on the angle there was Garland. He went to ground. Frawley tried to get it across to McDonald. Now Garland another chance. So eventually he sends it down towards half forward. Armfield did well. Collins, nice hand pass. Ellard's held under pressure, but still gets a kick away. It bounces down towards half forward.
Garlett controlled it pretty well. Gets it to Simpson. Good handball. Walker running hard. He's on the left foot. And that's a poor kick. Under pressure. Interesting with Walker, Tim. He's starting sort of wing at the moment, going forward, but 56 goals, I think, last year off the top. I mean, he was a fantastic forward last year with Betts and Garlett. They've restructured a bit with Hampson as the full forward. Weight, of course, a key. Gee, Warnock got down so well. Ellard's handball's a beauty to Scotland. Was just in the right spot. Scotland kicks to the goal. Rivers was searching for it and threw from behind.
They did a really good job then too, Carlton, of opening up that stoppage in the forward pocket. Not many players went to it, which meant that Carlton had plenty of room to operate. And what's been happening in recent times is that sides have actually been crowding those stoppages. So really smart play Melbourne need to get more numbers there.
Crawley to himself, gets good distance on the kick towards the outer side. Warnock gets a fist on it from behind. Robinson, hard man to bring down, goes from 50, looking at his third. Just misses. He's energised today. He's a very good player when he's in that mood.
And you're right about Dunn too, Dennis. He has gone to him, so it's a run with roll. He'll shadow Robinson all over the field.
Jack Watts, nice kick coming out right onto the chest of Nicholson. Runs away from half-back. Angle kick across the ground. They're using two speedsters. Nicholson to Blease. Armfield is quick too. Just gets a hand to him, affects the kick. It wanders offline. It's still a live footy. A few players just standing watching there. Eventually Jamison gets across. His clearing kick not so good. Grimes goes down, gets it. Wearing number 16. I never saw Big Bob do that. that was a gather.
That was an amazing pickup. He was at full tilt then when he ran at that ball, and to pick it up at his toenails. I mean, that was just fantastic play from Grimes.
Fantastic effort, wasn't it? He just couldn't quite bring off what would have been a miracle goal. Gibbs out wide to McLean. It's a good kick, but Trengove just had to time his effort better there. Garlett, McDonald got the best of the bounce. Handball, Betts tried to cut it off. And then on the up, Trengove getting a touch there. Garland, OK, McKenzie. Melbourne still lively, you feel. Jones had a quiet first half. Now Frawley's got to be careful. He was OK because Curnow didn't get there quickly enough. Frawley's kick's good to Seller. Seller. He's kept it in. Still with Seller. And now he hooks it back. Dunn and Bootsma, funny old bounce. LR, that was untidy play by the D's in the end. Bootsma back to Scotland. Scotland back to Jamison. Now Jamison will probably keep it this side, and he does. Frawley's in a good spot with Tapscott. They built the ball towards the line. I thought it went over, but obviously not. The kick forward by Walker. Now it's getting close, not quite. Jamar. Now, yes, finally.
I think you're right the first time, Bruce.
Mackie, you're right. It was untidy play. To the last 3 times they've gone inside 50. That last kick, which is the most important kick, hasn't gone anywhere near the target for Melbourne.
Boundary throw in. Warnock took his own ball. Flicks it behind the pack, intended for Judd, taken by Collins. Off to Simpson. Now McLean. McLean goes inside the forward 50. Garland again, conscious of pushing and shoving with the man he was tracking there. Got hands in the back. After it goes Hampson. Doesn't keep it alive, but Garland just needed to go with the ball. We've made the point several times. Much taller man, just mark it. Boundary throw in. Warnock flicks it down behind. Intended, I think, initially for Betts. Comes to Simpson, smothered off the boot. Bale at close quarters. Gave it across towards support from Jones. Sold Jamar into trouble. Judd's got it now, and his shadow takes him to ground. That's McKenzie. Trengove, the skipper, over the top. And between the pair, Judd was going nowhere.
So still no goal in the second half. Carlton pushing hard here. This is a congested setup. Robinson looking for the free. J-Mark, Trengove, Curnow in there. With Trengove now, Robinson's over the top and to get a ball up. I feel like it's going to rain. The lights are on. Low-scoring game. Goal's important here. Melbourne have just got to try and hang on. If they stay within a goal or two at three-quarter time, then the Blues will get a bit nervous, you'd feel. Just got to stay with them. Warnock and Jamar. And then McDonald. McKenzie couldn't get free because he was trapped by the legs, basically. And again, a ball up.
Even numbers at this stoppage. Generally, half-forwards push up for Melbourne or teams against an opposition side at this part of the ground, but there's even numbers all over the field, so they'll battle it out one-on-one at this stoppage.
Warnock and Jamar off the ball. Robinson hit the deck. Judd hand passes Goldwood. McDonald's been okay. Could have been held without it. Wonderful by Robinson. Kept it alive. Flicks it back over the shoulder. Melbourne lead in all directions to the footy, though. Frawley sends it towards the boundary line. Well, it doesn't go out of bounds. Crowd calling for deliberate. Must feel embarrassed. The hand pass comes over the top from Gibbs. Taken by McLean down the line. Garlett, Ellard, McLean towards full forward. And the mark in the square taken by McDonald. He hasn't been the worst of the McDonald. He's not a good kick, or not as good as he would like to be, I'm sure. Interesting matchup for the smaller forwards. No trouble here, though, as he kicks it high. Seller was up, couldn't complete the mark. In goes Jones, stolen by Collins. Collins low down. Garlett let it run. McDonald did well to Frawley with the outside of the boot. It was Garland. It was Garland who cleared it, and the mark is taken by Jones.
To Sella, and now some run. So here is Trengover. We've seen so little of the ball. Handball okay. Bale. Now Mitch Clark here in a one-on-one with Jamison. Oh, good mark, Jamison. Gee, that's a big win, isn't it? Clark's had a very good first half. Jamison just held up. Tui sweeps it back to him. Been able to hold them here, though, Melbourne. That's a lovely kick, though, from Jamison. McLean getting pretty busy. Ellard centre wing. Carlton probing here. Nice looking kick, but Betts, I think he'll run out of time and the ball runs over the line for a boundary throw-in. Who are you looking at, Tim?
McLean's up to 20.
Yep.
10 contested possession and 4 clearances, so he's done a lot. Good body play there by Jamison. He's as good as there is one-on-one, Jamison, in the competition.
Against quality opposition too, and Mitch Clark, who's got 3 this afternoon after the boundary throw-in.
Tim, you mentioned Brock McLean there. He could be the missing piece of the Carlton puzzle. If he can be that hard in and under type player, getting clearances, contested possessions, that's what they need to release those gun outside players.
That's a good point.
His confidence, you would expect, would be down. Carlton haven't shown a lot of faith. There goes the kick. High ball from Ellard down towards full forward. Back goes McDonald. Could have almost got a free there. In trouble, Maloney spills to Walker. Walker struggles free, kicks and kicks a goal. Something out of nothing. Andrew Walker battling there. McDonald might have been stiff for not getting a kick for over the shoulder. But in the wash-up, it was a terrific goal. So a bit of breathing space for that man and his team. They're up by 20 now. And Walker, the Blues' top goal scorer last season, gets his first today.
Great pressure there. I think it was Simpson actually that applied the tackle, and it was Walker the finisher. Mackie, you mentioned earlier about Walker playing inside 50 and how dangerous he is around goals.
So that's his 100th career goal for Andrew Walker. More than half of them coming last season. So Maloney. So the next goal will tell a tale. Either Carlton are going to get to a pretty big lead, or Melbourne are still very much in the contest. Curnow, run down by Dunn. That was good. Terrific tackle. And Buller.
We talked about the domination in the first half, Carlton, around the stoppages where they get so much drive. The number's now 31-14. And that's a smashing in clearances.
Well, Chris Judd talked about that at the start of the day, didn't he? Because that's what Adelaide, and I think the Saints had the better of them as well in that area. Most teams have in the last few weeks. McDonald, Jones, hasn't had any time and space today, Jones.
And boys, those clearances since quarter time is on the back of Carlton being up by 18 in contested possessions since quarter time. So they've really got on top through the middle of the ground, through the clearances, through the contested possessions, and they're kicking goals off the back of it.
Yeah, they've kicked, it was 3 goals to 1, so they've kicked 7 of the last 9 goals have the Blues. Hasn't felt like one-way traffic, has it?
No.
Did for a while in the second quarter, but they've had to work for 10 minutes in this quarter to get that Walker goal, so it's been hard going.
Curnow, as Judd was waiting his turn to come onto the ground. Half back, Garland got it. Hand passes towards the boundary. Walker put the body in. Well done by Betts along the line. Releases Simpson. Now Robinson finds himself in space. Goes long down towards full forward. Garland is down there. Nicholson is with him. Nicholson played it very well. Stayed on his feet. Concedes a behind and bounces off the padding.
He did play it well. He didn't panic at all, did he?
No, he's very cool.
Stayed body on body. Kept his feet.
Maybe didn't realise what was at stake. Away comes Watts. He kicks it towards the wing, and a good mark is taken by Howe. Wheels around. On the move is Dunn. Bootsma, the first gamer, is with him. Dunn played it pretty well. It runs on. Some hesitation from Jamison. He was going to come, then stopped. Good chasing down there by Joseph. Trying to crash his way through was Clark. Gathered by Binnell. He kicks it straight up in the air. Over the top, Bootsma taking a swing at it. Tapscott. Crawling after the football, Joseph. Anti-climax, it's out of bounds.
He's impressive, Clark, is he? Not just in the air. I just watched him closely then, how many times he actually went back to the contest as a big fella. Didn't get the ball, but he was working hard.
There he is again, Tim. And Jones got a high one. He'll have a shot for goal.
Yes, Nathan Jones.
But Clark set it up.
Yeah, he did. And there's a lot of discussion about whether or not he's worth the money that Melbourne paid. We'd have to say on what he's returned so far, he has been.
So Robinson there, the offender. No doubt about it. Jones, quite-ish day for him. There's Clark there with his 3 goals to half-time.
He's only had 11 touches, Jones. He really hasn't figured that much in this first half.
This year he's had 17 to 27 every match, between 17 and 27. One thing he hasn't done is missed a shot for goal from the set. He's 4 out of 4 and make that 5 out of 5. And Melbourne get the goal that was critical to this match. They're hanging around then.
Yep, and he's their hardest worker, no question about. Well, he and Mackenzie, both of them have got a wonderful work rate. Get in and under, but they need support around the edges. That's where Trengove needs to come into it. But gee, that's a disappointing game for the captain today.
I just watched him, Dennis, at one of the stoppages though, Trengove, and he was actually, his first instinct was to go to a bloke as opposed to go to the ball. He's lost his confidence around the ball. Good reaction there from Jones, and it just keeps them in there with half a chance, Melbourne.
Ball back in the middle then. 59 to 44. Melbourne need to string a few goals together. McLean, who's been okay. Trengove did well that time. Mackenzie was over the ball. A hot one went out to Jones. Magna's got it. Immediately attracts a crowd. Umpire Nichols will bounce it again. Rucks go at it. Hooked down by Cruiser. Taken by Jones. Only as far as Joseph.
I don't reckon he needed to kick that one around the corner either, Jones. He panicked a little bit then. Had more time.
So the Blues forward. Simpson could be on there. Never with Hampson. Rivers. It's been a really interesting duel, Rivers and Hampson. Rivers kicked the centre wing. Grimes did well there against Collins, and not a great handball to Nicholson. It was just too hot for him. It was so close to him.
He did such a good job to win that
Yeah,
ball,
he did. He's done 2 great things in this quarter. That pick up on the burst, and there. Feel like, Tim, that he is a real talent, Grimes, don't you? So look at the clearances on Robinson,
good spread there.
Judd and McLean, Curnow. So good numbers for the Blues. As you say, it's an even spread, isn't it?
Walker's been lively too since they pushed him up the ground onto the ball.
So Garland, we've talked a lot about Garland versus Betts today. It's Magna interesting. His first season, he had 32 disposals against the Eagles early in the season. And since then, he's only had 1 occasion where he's had more than 20.
Well, they've given him sort of negative roles, Macca. They've used him as that forward that plays a defensive role. He went on to the ball last week and played on Kennedy for a while.
Yep, he did. Dennis got nervous there because McDonald was being expansive, but the ball got to Frawley.
It was a good kick too. I was only told he was a bad kick. I've seen him a couple of times. I went along with that opinion on what I saw, but he's been good today. Very good back there. Very athletic player. At that time, well, he applies a strong tackle on Betts. The ball spills wide. Opportunity for Garland. That was clever. Well done. Into the path of Jones. Now he's away. 1 bounce. Walker is bearing down. Jones not quick enough. Forced to do a U-turn. Gives it to Mackenzie. Takes it back. Looks across the ground. McDonald has it once more. Back to Jones. Just get the feeling this could end badly. Jones kicks it towards the boundaries. Better than I'd hoped for. It's out of bounds. Melbourne get a chance to regroup.
Well, surely the best option was Jones on the other side of the ground when he had the opportunity to kick down the line.
He had to kick about a 50-metre kick, didn't he? But
it would have been better. It was a one-on-one.
Melbourne were on there, but he did that lovely tap. Hampson. Jim McLean having a terrific quarter. Ellard had that smothered by Seller. Gets back to Seller. He's ungainly, Seller, isn't he? He's not a smooth-moving Colt, is he?
No, early draft pick too. And Lingy mentioned about McLean. Well, he has put his hand up today.
Yep.
He's up to 21 possessions. He's had 5 clearances. And that's exactly what Carlton need, though. We need one of these other midfielders to stand up and work well inside the contest. Walker again with the ball.
Well, Murphy said today, Mark Murphy, at half-time, that round 18's about when he's back. Now, Brock McLean's got a bit of time, hasn't he?
That's right, yeah.
You'd think that he knows he's going to play for a few weeks, hopefully, and today he's done really well.
Let him up.
Well, it's a good point, Macca, because you come into this side and he's knowing that, OK, I've actually got a period of time here where I can consolidate my position in the team. He's been in and out over the last couple of years, hasn't been able to consolidate. 11 contested possessions. He's been working well in all areas.
Well, he's quite a one-dimensional player these days, but he is a dimension they don't have. in and hard working, particularly with Carranzo out. There goes the kick from half back, and the mark is taken by Tui coming up. It came from Frawley. It speaks volumes for his confidence because he's hung around. Started slowly today, but he's worked into the game. He could have been forgiven for spitting the dummy at some stage, surely. Going across and thinking he can play all senior football. There's Judd, tackle, close to the boundary line. Worked off it by Bennell was Joseph. Bennell's kick to midfield, taken by Trengove. Now there a chance here. Blees once again. We know he loves a run. Has one bounce, goes inside the 50. He's shooting at goal, Blees. He's narrow.
Dennis,
Just no poise there at all. Sorry,
Tim. Dennis, an absolute favourite of yours, Geordie McKenzie. He's doing a wonderful job on Chris Judd. He's kept him to 11 touches at the moment. And Carlton dominating around the middle of the ground. To have Chris Judd on 11 touches, that's a fantastic job by a young player. I can assure you it is extremely hard to stop Chris Judd when Carlton are playing good footy.
Steady, Linger. I've got two favourites in that battle.
Yeah, the Judd today. So Jamar almost. And just a moment ago, Judd couldn't break the tackle, could he, at half forward, so it was an important play. Good take by Gibbs. And McLean again having just a breakout third quarter, and Rivers and Betts and the boundary throw. Cameron, just down one more. You talked about Bryce Gibbs before the game. I mean, how do you feel he's played today?
Well, unfortunately, I haven't got to see him come up into the middle of the ground where I wanted to see him play. But I mentioned Andrew Walker and Brock McLean have stood up in there, as well as that man, Mitch Robinson. But I would have loved to have seen Bryce Gibbs spend some time up there.
Hampson to Cruiser to Garlett, and Garlett misses, hits the post. I just feel like Melbourne, I just feel like they're half a chance here.
They're just going to have to use the ball. But even Blues, when he had that kick a couple of minutes ago in the forward line, he should have kicked it to the top of the square.
Well, the last time he kicked a goal, we forgave him.
The great thing is they've got the 24-hour rule in anyway, so
that's right.
You know, by Tuesday he won't remember. There's Grimes. Kicks it around the outer side. I've got the same problem, but I don't have any rules. Mark is taken by Bauer.
After a bad, you've never done a bad call, but if you did one, do you reckon you get over it in 24 hours?
I think so, Bruce. We've weathered a few storms as the ball goes down towards half forward. If you get forgetful, it goes out towards the boundary. Robinson pulls it towards the pocket. Loose ball at the back. Rivers could have got there. He allowed Garland to come back onto it and just push it across the boundary. And across the goal line more particularly. And behind, so 8-13 to 6-9. 61 plays 45, and Melbourne hanging around, threatening clouds, so we could get some rain before it's all over, which probably would help the team with the lead, but it'll make it tougher too. Whether Carlton want to pay that sort of price will be interesting to see. Here's Rivers.
Out wide, so Melbourne just trying to set something up. Frawley, who hasn't used the ball all that well at times today. He's a terrific defender. And there you go. He's kicked the ball to Tapscott, who had Bauer and Curnow against him, and Gibbs. I'm not sure about that one. Tui back to Gibbs. They get him, and he's gone.
Has to be.
Holding the ball. So this is a good win for Melbourne.
Thanks, Bryce. Good up. Loot out.
This is the kick that they really struggle with, this kick inside 50.
And Dunn, I know he kicked one nice one today, but a couple of his have been poor. That one sets up, and Seller almost. And Blees was running hard through. You could see the goal even from outside the boundary line, Blees. And a boundary throw-in.
Bruce, you asked a question before of me about Bryce Gibbs, as Brett Maloney has a little bit of a wrestle there, but he's only had the one contested possession today. That's the part of the game that I want to see him lift in. The ability to win the ball in both situations, out in space, but also in a contest.
Jamar hooks it down behind. Judd applies the tackle on McKenzie. The role's reversed there for a moment. Falling to the ground, Warnock to Robinson to Collins. Collins high ball close to the boundary. Frawley. Oh dear. It should be about 20 metres out from goal, but James Frawley has had a pretty good season. We've seen a lot of the footy down his way. He's got a boundary throw in just outside the 50. 16 points the margin. Not insurmountable. Jamar wins it down. Melbourne showing a lot of heart. Collins goes back after a loose ball. Bearing down was Blees. The pressure was enough to affect the kick. Judd had it fall behind him. Half chance, dug out of there. Grimes, I think it was, on his knees. Ball goes high towards the wing. knocking it down in front. Watts. Robinson breaks a tackle.
He's been so good in this area. Robinson breaking the lines, and then kicks the ball beautifully, giving at least a 50-50 to Betts, but Garland got back, and he couldn't quite get the bounce. Those legs of Betts were flying. Those big shorts of his have never run as fast as they did just then. Out wide, Bennell, who came on for Green, we hope. Poor old Brad Green, what a horrible 6 months he's had. Captaincy taken off him, he's only played 3-4 games this year, and he's really struggled. Lovely kick
Great
that
play.
time, yeah, by Tapscott to Bennell. And inside, Melbourne building. Trengove,
This is better.
good switch now. Got to get a goal out of this. Frawley can kick a long ball 50 metres out, and he's been sloppy, Frawley, I reckon.
He has.
He has been sloppy.
The other bloke we haven't mentioned for Carlton too is Ellard, who's had the job of minding Maloney. Maloney's only had 8 touches this afternoon, so you'd have to put a tick alongside Ellard's name. That's a great job, reducing his effectiveness to 8 possessions, and we're nearing three-quarter time.
So if Melbourne get the next goal, the game will be on. Ball goes out of bounds on the defensive 50 for the Blues. Of course, Carlton can't afford a loss this afternoon. 5-3.
Lingy will be talking to Rats at three-quarter time.
Looking forward to that. If it's nice and tight, that should be some interview. But Melbourne have got to get a couple more goals. I think their last 9 scoring shots, Carlton's 1-8. Brock McLean, the last man up. So the longer it's gone, the better he's got, as we say.
What can they do here, the Demons?
Confident man, Brock McLean, to keep his attitude. Down goes Simpson. Magna got him. There was a Jones. We'll know shortly. Magna.
They just need to be able to clear some space here and get a tap potentially to the outside of this congestion.
And not the worst thing is a hook to the square, because Clark is down there. Well, they were listening. Watts ran into the tackle from Bootsma too long. Well, that could be a game changer. Not Watts' fault, really. The hand pass came to him, and he couldn't really get those big legs, those long legs, tracking in time. Collins across the ground to Bauer.
Bauer just fumbling a bit, but he's been able to push it forward, and then Joseph held on to. Free kick for Joseph. So inside to McLean, who's had a great put. Just thinking about Simpson, 19 disposals, had 10 to quarter time, so they've been able to, I mean, it's been Robinson and McLean who've probably got really going since quarter time, haven't they? Here is Walker, who's had a good match and a very good quarter.
This has been better for Melbourne in transition when they've been able to slow Carlton.
So really critical 2-3 minutes here.
Bruce, sorry to interrupt. Carlton have activated their sub. Kane Lucas is on the ground. Arnfield is the man who's been subbed off.
Thanks for that, Lingy. So just a half volley. McLean had it smothered. Tapscott, Trengove, light rain falling. Good hands by Howe to Grimes. Then Grimes off a step. Gibbs versus Dunn. Still Gibbs and Dunn. Watts. Ball still not coming out. Watts trying to get it out. Down low. Dunn might have got a high tackle. That ball at 50. And if Melbourne can create a goal late here, they are a chance. 2.5 minutes remaining in this third quarter.
Well, last stoppage inside their forward line, they actually went back towards the Carlton goal, just to open up that space. It was a good clear tap from Jamar. Can he do the same again? He's very good with his body, Jamar.
As Lingy told us, Kane Lucas on the ground, the sub into the game. Handy player in this situation. We've seen him a couple of times this year kick a goal or two.
Dennis, a very good runner too, Kane Lucas. Fantastic athlete, and as you said, very dangerous around goal.
Need to watch him in the dying minutes of this term and beyond. Jamar, Melbourne working so hard at the moment. Need another reward. That's Jones at the base of that. Recognise the tats. Trengove with the outside of the boot. And the mark is taken by Gibbs going back towards the boundary line. So Carlton holding here for the present. Just over 2 minutes to go until three-quarter time.
Long kick by Gibbs. Rivers did well. He worked Hampson underneath. Nicholson to bang it back in. Need to take a mark. Collins missed it. Ball still in dispute. Dunn's been combative in this quarter. Ball up. So one goal here makes such a difference. So a bit of a knee coming in. Wow.
Oh, wow. Right in the face there. This is where Jamar's been good. I mean, You've got Warnock actually has the height advantage here, but he just gets his body inside.
It's been a long time since Jones has got. That was a beautiful tap by Warnock to Judd. Haven't seen Judd do this much today. Running hard, 3 running bounces.
Oh.
Funny old scrubby kick, actually, but getting forward. Betts holds his feet. That was important. There's only one man standing. Betts can't quite get the ball. Hampson's got it. They've got Hampson. Kerno, little soccer. This is big, really important. Garlett missed it. Rivers with a charge. Melbourne dodge a bullet, and they get it out. Magna finds his man. Good stuff, the D's.
So Watts has got it now.
That's a good kick.
Hampson did well to clear a path, but when the ball came back to him, it came back along the ground. Jones comes wide, close to the boundary line. Trengove applies a tackle on Tui. Tui must get a free kick, surely. Nothing doing. Tui lying on the football. Trengove's got him, and the umpire will ball it up a minute before 3/4 time. Holding the man, says Tui.
Trengove's really lifted this quarter too. He's had 8 disposals this quarter.
Just takes a spray. Well, not a spray, but a word from Lingy. Captain to captain, man to man. Close to the boundary line. Maloney kept it in. Jones. Oh, I don't know about. Well, the boundary umpire was in perfect position, but our spot's not bad either, looking down the line, Bruce.
No, it was Dennis. It was. I reckon it was closer than the one earlier. I reckon that's still in, but anyway, I'm not a good judge.
Oh, come on. Down in front, taken by Simpson.
Thinking of Yarran in round 1. It was in that area, wasn't it?
Was.
So can Watts, he does break the tackle, finds some space, went back to Magna, the kick to about 50, and Clark running onto it. So 1 goal here to Melbourne in the last minute would make a massive difference. It's been, what, 13 minutes, I think, since the Jones goal. We haven't had a goal since then. It's been a quarter of inaccuracy, mainly from Carlton. Robinson, the 3rd man up. Judd brought down on the tackle, slings it forward. Nicholson's a left footer. Can he get much on it? He does that. Gets to full forward. Can Sella take the mark? Well done, Boots, but they like him. Belting it away. Maloney versus Ellard. Oh, well done, Ellard. That was terrific. Saved the day. And at 3/4 time, it's going to be a 16-point ball game. It's a race on, but the clock's running just as fast as these 2 guys. Well done, Nicholson. And Melbourne are in the game. A contest for sure. Carlton lead, but Melbourne have got a chance, and we haven't said that very often at 3/4 time in any of the games they've played this year. He's a cult figure in a game and a half, that fella. It took Dennis 20 years. 3/4 time, it's 8:14 to 6:10.
Sky is very dark. If it does rain, that could be an interesting subplot to all of this. Rucks go at it then, one down by Jamar. Ellard at close quarters to Walker. McKenzie wraps him up. In goes Maloney, quiet day, and the umpire will ball it up. So the margin 16 points.
Ellard, sorry Dennis, I was just about to say, Ellard, apart from the fact that he's actually done a great job on Maloney, he's had 24 touches himself.
Handy little player, Ellard. Not quite sure where his best spot is, though, as the ball comes from Watts to Jones. Kicks inside the forward 50. They meet at the football. No one touched it, though. Bootsma goes back, finds it, swings it out very wide, reaching over the top. McDonald punches it away from Lucas, and it goes out of bounds. McDonald's going to be a good player.
He is. Yeah, no, he's going to be a very good player. And I think Ellard's best position at the moment is that stopper, that midfield player that they can use as a run with. They lost that when they lost Carazzo. They had that player that just couldn't stop the opposition midfielder.
Just 19, McDonald, so 10 games, so been good effort today. Robinson involved with Gibbs, and then Scotland building the ball to centre wing. There's Cruiser and Frawley. It's a lot of the ball today, Frawley. And he's a good competitor. He's got the size to go with him. There's McLean. It's the former team. Almost got to 100 games for the Demons. Looked like he'd be the captain of the club at one stage, didn't he, early on? Rejuvenating his career today a bit. Scotland to Gibbs. Then Gibbs off that step. Cruiser and Frawley. Well played by Frawley. That Cruiser got him, though. He had to be quicker there, Frawley, and again. McLean's kick forward to the 50. Bale and Simpson. Bale's done well on Simpson. Simpson started brilliantly. In fact, interesting with Simpson. His last 3 weeks, you think about it, terrific against the Saints early. Very good against the Crows early. 10 disposals in the first quarter today. So hasn't quite been finishing off over the last 3 weeks.
Boundary thrown in the pocket. Jamar. Cruiser brilliantly down to Judd. Was he held without it? Live ball to Betts. Betts went to ground. Over the football is McDonald. He's trying to place it for a place kick. Comes out from McLean to Cruiser, and Cruiser snaps a goal. That's handy.
Yeah, good goal, Dennis. McLean again getting involved, wasn't he? But
the pressure always was there from what was a good ruck knock. From that moment on, Melbourne were on the back foot. Cruiser directing it down. Judd almost broke free, lost the footy, but from then on, Melbourne were backpedaling and under the pump. A couple of half chances to Carlton. Betts had one, and eventually they get the goal.
Good play here by McLean. McLean's up to 27 touches now, 14 of those contested, 6 clearances. Great little bit of handball work from him over to Cruiser. And we also saw McLean on the outer wing there, just overlapping a bit too, which is something he's not noted for. So he's getting some real confidence in this performance.
Warnock again gets the tap. Jamar and Robinson.
In the back, Mitch Robinson.
So Jamar just clumsy there. This is the biggest margin of the match so far. So 22 points. So can Carlton really blow it open? Gibbs running hard now. He's almost got to a scoring position, and then he's kicked forward. Simpson held on to. No free kick. Back to Trengove. Back to Rivers. Running hard. Bale. Not a great handball. And now Collins kicked back in forward, and then Cruiser again to Gibbs. So the ones combine, and Gibbs hooking for a behind. So Melbourne just hanging on now.
Love to watch Bryce Gibbs take the game on through the middle of the ground. That's where I like to see him. Pushing forward, dangerous entries, kicking goals. Not quite on that occasion, but very dangerous.
So Jones to Nicholson. Sloppy old kick out wide. Bennell there. McDonald provides a bit of a contest. Here's Gibbs again, who Lingy has really stalked today, hasn't he? He hasn't tagged him, he's stalked him from the boundary line.
Well, they have to start playing attacking football, Melbourne. They've got to try and come through the corridor. They're down by 23. It's in the last quarter. I mean, they've been honest for most of the game. Now's the time to be a little bit more creative and a bit more adventurous.
Jamar backhands it down. Magna, well tackled by Gibbs, got the ball out somehow. Jones taken down. Collins got him. Judd steps across the boundary line. It's interesting with Gibbs, and as much as I don't think Carlton's perception of him and use of him reflects what most people around the footy community think. I think they see him more as an on-baller going forward, like Cameron's talking about this afternoon. Certainly with Murphy and Carrazzo out, you'd think he'd see more service in that area. Down goes Jones, and guess who got him? Gibbs. So he's relishing the move up the ground.
So on that, Dennis, is it because they feel Gibbs is that sort of player, or do they feel they've got better blokes in those spots rather than Gibbs? I mean, why do you think they make those decisions?
Well, I would think, and I should defer to Tim here, but I would think that they think that he's the best distributor they have back there. He's such a lovely kick, but it can be a lovely kick all over the field.
I think they're really concerned about their ability to hit targets with their back six, and they needed him back there to be able to do that. I reckon, though, I'm with Lingy. They've got to get him in the midfield and just teach him to become better as an inside player and demand that from him.
Judd held on to. Now Walker. Long ball to Cruiser. Garland flying. Betts roving. And then he can see a goal coming up. He's kicked 3, the little fella. Well, Garland's had an interesting afternoon. At times he's flown, and other times he hasn't flown. And that one he was the third man up, but it was his man that was roving it. Judd worked hard on the wing. And Carlton now have blown the game open. 3 for Betts, so he's up to 19 for the year. And for Mark Neal, he just desperately wants Melbourne to do something in the last 20 minutes.
And once again, Melbourne's defence was under pressure after they lost the stoppage. Here's the kick, the first kick. There's Garland just running back into that contest. He shouldn't have gone for that ball. And he leaves his man at ground level, and that's what Betts does so well.
Yeah, I think Betts has got into Garland's head a bit today. Garland, I've seen him play some really good games for Melbourne as Walker swings it out of the middle, down inside the forward 50. Hampson was the target. Didn't reach him. He battles on for it, though, with Rivers over the top. Betts The umpire will ball it up. But if you're third man up in that situation, you've got to
smash the ball.
You have to. You have to touch the ball, don't you?
Well, you've got to
Simple
mark
as
the
that.
ball first. If you're going to go for the ball in the air like that, you've got to mark it. Otherwise, you just got to kill it.
He was coming from a strange angle. He was never really in the contest, as it turned out. One down by Jamar. Into the path, though, of Simpson. Goes back to Collins. He's a good ball user, Collins. That's not too good. Just another metre on it. McDonald, though, able to knock it away from Lucas and then control it. Finds Grimes. Grimes plays on immediately and comes up to halfback in Trengove, whose second half has been much better, and that's heartening for Melbourne. Looks across the ground. Nicholson is metres in the clear. He'll take this one and go. Juggles it, feeds it off. Rivers. Watts is running hard. This will be interesting. Watts against the guy that's playing his second game. Bootsma's got him. Well done by Bootsma. Watts, though, able to get the ball away. Nicholson is outnumbered, though. Not a lot of help where the ball went. Nicholson comes again, feeds it towards a teammate there in Howe. Howe tries to lay a tackle on Joseph, not in time. Walker sends it forward to Curnow, to Joseph, back to Walker.
Well played. And then Scotland sweeps it out wider still. Cruiser, Walker, insatiable running here. It's good stuff. And then Walker on the burst, kicks to half forward. And Frawley, too strong, whips Simpson out of it. To the other one, Lingy, we talked about the number 4 for the Blues. Gibbs, Watts is the other number 4 and number 1 draft. I mean, where's his position? Where does he end up as a footballer?
That's a very good question, Bruce. I'm not even sure myself right now. I'd love to see him playing down back a little bit and trying to get some confidence, play on an opponent, just learn the basics of the game, but still not sure what his best position is.
I watched him really closely after that ball on the other side of the ground, and he didn't work hard enough after he lost the ball. He didn't get involved in the next passage of play, didn't chase out nearly hard enough, and they're the areas of his game that he actually can control.
So here is Gibbs chasing hard.
The interesting thing there, Tim, was the guy who kicked it to Watts was involved in the next passage of play beyond Watts, and that was Nicholson.
That's right. Yeah, he actually gave up the contest far too easy then, Jack. And I reckon that would be the area that would frustrate Mark Neal more than any.
So is that laziness, Tim, or just not knowing?
No, it's not switching on at the right time, which I guess you can say it's just lazy.
So Cruiser off the side. Judd's never been lazy. He ran hard for the foot. He didn't quite get it. Melbourne holding for the moment. Grimes to full forward. At the back, Clark. He's been pretty good at these.
Whoa.
Not quite. That would have not quite kept them in the game. I'd be hallucinating, really, if I said that, but I've done that before.
Not at the footy. 10-15 plays 6-11. Heartening signs from Melbourne. A line bet would have been a good one today. Taking the mark is Robinson. Tui. McLean, so much of the footy. Robinson again, ditto, down towards half forward. Mark is taken, pushing up the ground by Hampson. Actually marks it alongside the centre circles. Walker, this is dangerous. Walker in front, almost the mark. Jones after it, under pressure. Frawley hasn't got any help standing. It's all Carlton around him. Judd, Walker, snaps goal. He's got 2. Well, they were tumbling over the Melbourne defenders there, and there was only one man standing at the end, opposed to about 3 or 4 Carlton players, so it was obvious it wasn't going to end well. Andrew Walker, their top goal scorer last season, kicked 56 goals, the best by quite a way. This is his 5th game back from injury, and the previous 4 he got 2-2, and last week was goalless.
So big lead for Carlton now, live and interactive. What do you think, Tim? The 3 ruckmen for the Blues, do they persevere with them?
I'm not sure. I mean, Brett Ratton summed it up pretty well at 3/4 time about the fact that when the ball hits the ground, that's when they're in real trouble, those 3 guys out there. I think Cruiser's best position is ruck, not as a forward. Judd
bursting through. What about you, Lingy? What do you think?
I think as long as they have an ability to be competitive down forward and actually play a role down there, they don't have to dominate, but you can't have them just purely as ruckmen.
So some good stuff there by McLean and Gibbs. Of course, Jared Waite's the other key, isn't he? I guess when Jared Waite comes back, that's another tool forward. So Hampson's position might be under real threat there as that tool full forward. So interesting stuff anyway for the Blues to work out, and that's going to be a ball up. So here's the Magna hit with Brock McLean.
Bruce, that's certainly one thing you can't question about Melbourne today. They've had a real crack, and I reckon that's all the supporters are after. They know they're a young team learning to play the game. They just want them to have a crack and play hard footy like that.
So Maloney forward. So Cameron, if the siren went now, would you give Melbourne a tick or a cross today?
I would give it a tick for the improvement. A lot of good signs, but the real challenge is they've got to do that every week. They're a young team playing against quality footballers here. Learn something from it, then back it up and do it again next week. Not 1 week of doing this and 100 points the next week.
A grudging tick. Robinson didn't get through. He's got through often enough today. He's been very good, Robinson. And when he's good, he is ultra good because he plays so hard. 31 possessions, not always immaculate with the footy, but
he's fierce though, isn't he?
Oh, sets the tone.
He does, yeah.
We've seen that in big games when he comes out fired up. He's very much a catalyst for the other players. Jamar slung. Collins offloads. McLean got it to Gibbs, intercepting though Bale. He's seen a lot of the football today. Bale tackled by Simpson. Comes back to Blease. Blease, that's a clever kick. Goes with the outside of the boot. Blease and Nicholson have both been handy additions this afternoon. Nicholson is very cool, as evidenced by that kick. It was almost too cool.
Done a good job. Mackenzie's played well. Oh, there's a bad miss. So he just couldn't hang on to it there. Nicholson. So Tui's high ball. Mackenzie underneath. And running in hard was Collins. He might have hurt himself there. Magnet might get it back from Maloney. He doesn't think Collins has hurt his knee. So that's bad luck for Collins. It's a rotten run. That's a lovely mark by Howe. He was anchored to the spot. Back inside. Jones has got a real roll. I'm not sure what he was doing in the end. And then Clark off a step. Now Watts has to go here, and he doesn't. And Warnock takes the mark. And poor Collins, you've got to feel for him here. He's had a wretched run with injury. Played a couple of games only for the Blues last year after coming from the Tigers, and deep into this match, first game for the season, he's done his knee late. So that's really rotten luck. So Carlton by 5.5 goals.
Kerno goes along the boundary, and the searching lead was Betts, and Betts will get the free kick.
Any bets?
Goes against Garland.
Hold on.
Ooh. He did that even before the collision, didn't he?
That was odd, wasn't it, too? He put in a misstep before he got there. Kick close to the line. Frawley got his fingertips to it. Falls behind to Ellard. Ellard across the body down towards the attacking 50. Walker had to wait, getting back strongly. Rivers knocks it out of bounds. There you go.
He might have done the crucial.
It looked really awkward, didn't it, for him? So it's just before the contest there. Warnock front spot, gets the tap over the top. Jardine, Mackenzie, Nicholson just belting the ball forward. Melbourne 3 goals in the opening term, just 3 since. Jamison winning that battle with Clark, and then spiralling it back. Cruiser's big fly at the back. Nicholson against the tide, and then Grimes, who's done some good things. Clever mark by Tapscott, who was the late inclusion today for Bartram. Bartram's a guy that they could have really used today. He's a real goer, isn't he? He would have picked up probably Betts or Garland. Gets kick out wide to Bale. Well, he had to mark it. He couldn't fall over. Simpson to Scotland. And McLean's going to get a vote today, I reckon. And that kick to half forward. Walker working it back inside to Kerno.
Kerno to Lucas. And it's sat for him. He would have been able to take a shot at goal. It didn't. Cruiser, very nimble. Walker steps to the 50, lines up, fires, kicks the goal. No, he doesn't. Just misses by less than a metre to the left-hand side.
It's been good since half-time too, Walker. Really good.
Good kick in. And a good one too, finds Dunn. Dunn got it from Nicholson. It's a great kick by Nicholson to the outer side. The hands taken, not according to the umpire. Leading back in the race, Bauer. Pursuing him is Seller. Good earnest chase by Seller. Affected the kick. Dunn gets on the end of it then. Comes back to the middle. Trengove wants to play on. Flicks it across towards Frawley. Frawley, a long ball inside the forward 50. Clark, bit of a push in the back, no free kick. Tracks the ball deep to the pocket. Scotland tracks him. Very well done. He could have given it off to Bale, but he snapped and hit the post. Now, that's the second time he could have given it off to Bale. And I think if Bale's got a memory, he might have a word after the game. But then again, last time, he kicked the goal. Remember that set shot deep in the pocket when Bale offered to lead? That time he hit the post. So it's just by degrees that he hasn't got 2 goals.
So Jamieson. Long ball. Cruiser. Good mark. Bauer. Another late inclusion to Gibbs. And Gibbs running through the centre. It's a good kick by Gibbs. Robinson's in a lovely spot. Uses it well and rolls it home. He's going to get a vote as well today. He's kicked 3, Robbo. So 3 goals for Robinson. Just about BOG, you would think, I reckon. He made the difference in the second quarter. So Carlton, that line betting, Dennis, should be getting a bit 51
nervous.
points. Not that we bet you and I weren't allowed to, but
if we did,
yeah, you'd be getting a bit shaky. So here's the Collins injury. Doc, it looked like he'd done it just before the contest. Doc Larkin's with us for 3RW again, Doc.
Yeah, but I think there's 2 mechanisms, Bruce. He seems to sort of miss his footing and then he hyperextends, which is always an ACL worry, Bruce. Downstairs, Collins having that stability test, but I worried about the ACL when I see that.
Thanks for that, Peter. So Doc Larkin's AW and Saturday Night Footy with us as well, telling us about Brad Green, and then there, that one cut off by Garlett.
There's a chance for Walker. Overruns the footy. Garlett falling to the ground. Hooks it out. I think it was Simpson who kicked it. And he misses.
There's still, to me, Melbourne look like they're still trying to learn a game plan, Dennis. There's nothing instinctive about the way they play. It's almost like they grab hold of the ball and then they think about what they're going to do. And in that moment, they lose whatever advantage they might have had.
Well, that's a poor kick in and Hampson takes the mark. Worth bearing in mind, I mean, they won 8.5 games last year. They weren't completely hopeless.
No, this is an overhaul that has gone on during the off-season too.
I know. But you've got to have the personnel to overhaul in a particular direction. Sometimes you've got to have a bit of a hybrid. Anyway, he knows that better than I do. Here's Hampson. And he misses. He hasn't been that accurate this afternoon. He sprayed them.
You go back to when Ross Lyon took over from St Kilda, though, and even he had a lot better list of players at his disposal than what Mark Neild's got. It almost took until about round 16 that year, that first year that he was coaching them, for it to look like they were all on the same page.
There goes the kick by Watts towards the outer side. Robinson came hard, dives in desperation, oblivious to the scoreline, which shows his side up by 41 points. A coach will love that.
Well, Tim, the 0-9 that Mark Neil will be tonight, that's where Damien Hardwick was at Richmond. It's actually where Brett Ratten was at the Carlton as well. They're both 0-9 in their first 9 games. So
the expectations weren't as high as what Melbourne's were at the beginning of this year, because we believed that, you know, they were a young team on the up after that 8.5 wins last year, and probably even the parting sentiment too from Dean Bailey when he said he thought that, you know, their plan was that they would be a top 8 side this year, and I think a lot of people sort of stood up or took notice of what he was saying.
So Maloney to full forward, out the back, Bennell should kick a goal. He's hit the post. Just to behind, so it just can't buy one, Melbourne, now in the second half. Just the 1 goal since half time.
I suppose the trade-off is they lost Scully, but they got Clark. So Clark was denied Dean Bailey, but he had Scully.
He played very well last night, Scully,
Yeah.
by the way. He was excellent.
Well, he's got tons of ability. Remember that night against the Western Bulldogs here on Friday Night Football?
It was last quarter.
Yeah, he surprised us a bit. He hasn't expressed it as much as we would have thought, given the number of games he's played. Had he stayed here, who knows? But wasn't to be. Collins. Hopefully there's some good news there. The fact that he's just sitting, watching his teammates. No trainers around him at the moment. Out of the congestion comes Magna. Just over 6 minutes remaining in the game. Scotland across half-back, drives it wide. Tracking it out there, Bootsma. Bootsma lays the ball into the path of a man running down the outer side, but he's not required because coming across, scooting across on the angle was Betts, long towards full forward, Hampson. And Hampson has paid the mark. Rivers comes up arguing his case, but nothing doing. Hampson simply too tall.
That's where he's at his most dangerous, isn't it, in the goal square, Hampson? If you can construct your forward line so that he can be one out in the goal square, he's going to be a handful for anyone.
He's got his second. Well, they had two speedsters on the outer side, Carlton. I think initially when the player released the ball, he thought Garlett may run onto it, but Betts was really scampering. Took the ball outside the 50, and it was a good kick that favoured Hampson, and Hampson able to take that mark. So the debate about the three big men will roll on this week, but Hampson, what he can control, he's trying to. 2 goals at either end of the game.
So we talked about Mark Neal being in the same spot as Damien Hardwick and also Brett Ratton at 0-9. So Hampson's taken 8 marks. He's kicked 2. He's missed 3. He needed 2 goals today at least, doesn't he? He has to get a couple of match, you would think, as that key forward and maybe create 1 or 2 others. But he hasn't kicked all that well today, but he has been able to clunk the mark. So you feel like they'll persevere with it a bit, Tim. As Carlton going forward hard. Judd was just terrific there, running on to it. Can Warnock get it to Juddy? A late goal from the Judds to be handy here. Just for the highlights reel. Bet, Curnow, can't quite fend it off. Handball out wide, Melbourne tracking it. Nicholson hands it to McKenzie, to Jones, to Blease. And then Blease, Daisy cuts it to Magnu, picked it up well, and then rode the first tackle, got the second. Bootsma, little one forward. Jones waits for it. Melbourne work it out. Grimes involved, and then Jamar to a one-on-one. How have you seen Clark and Jamison, Tim?
It's been a great battle between those two.
Jamison this time emerges with the footy. Goes forward. Watts goes back and takes a good mark. And will get 50 against Betts.
I think Jamison is one of those great lockdown, big key defenders that every team needs. And that's been a great jewel. There hasn't been a lot of easy supply into that forward line for Clark, and that's what a forward wants. He wants quick ball movement. They've really struggled across half forward, Melbourne, all day. That release kick from half back, they haven't had anybody that's been able to get a lot of break on their direct opponent.
Dunn after the mark goes looking for Clark. Bennell overran the football. Joseph mistimed the hand pass. Lucas is in trouble, and the ball goes towards the boundary line and out of bounds. So just looking at the stats for the afternoon, Robinson and McLean both on 32. Walker next best with 25. No, Ellard's got 27. So they're the top possession getters as far as the Blues are concerned. Out of the congestion, the kick comes from Simpson. Tackled is McDonald. Guess who? Robinson. At close quarters to Lucas.
Lucas back to Gibbs. And then Gibbs under pressure out on the full. We've been talking about Melbourne a lot, Lingy. What about the Blues? I mean, have they played well enough to beat a top 6 team today?
Oh, I don't think I've seen that today, Bruce, but I like the Blues. I still think that they can be right up the pointy end of the ladder come later on in the year.
Frawley, good mark, Hampson.
Great Hampson. I think they've just got to get that midfield structure right. And Brock McLean and Mitch Robinson have done it really well today. Hard contested players in at the ball, and that quality outside, that makes them a dangerous team.
So Hampson and Walker together, belted away by McDonald. Carazzo's probably the missing link too, isn't he?
He was outstanding early in the year because not only was he taking the best midfielder in the opposition, he was getting so much of the ball and big and strong around the stoppages too. And he was releasing those other players into space.
Boundary throw in. You see Judd camped in front of the pack and held off the ball by Bale. Howe is in there for Melbourne. Mark paid on the outer side to Simpson. Judd grabs it. 20th possession down towards the half-forward line. Judd last year in 2 games against Melbourne, 5 Brownlow votes. Here's Eddie, and Eddie steers another goal through. Speaking of the Brownlow votes, he could be in contention. That's his 4th goal.
He needed a good game, Eddie. It's just been flat the last few weeks. Judd's had a good second half, I think. And Carlton really opening up now.
We've actually seen him running with a bit of space more than we've seen over the last few weeks with Juddy too. He's been able to break from those stoppages and get away in the last quarter and a half, which is good to see. I mean, there's nobody that can break the game open like he can when he finds some space.
So 6 goals to nothing in the last term here. Carlton have done that a few times this year when they've been in a winning position. GWS was something similar to what they've done here. So we sort of jokingly talked about the line today, Dennis. They're actually 52 points in front. I think the line was 51, so they may win by 10 goals here, the Blues. Warnock kicks the ball forward. Watts has to fish for it. And then Rivers, couple of tackles. Carlton have really got a taste now. They want a little bit more. Jones goes back to Mackenzie. Mackenzie's done a good job on Judd for most of the day, but he's coughed it up now, and Scotland can reset Carlton with a high kick to fall forward. It's not a good kick, actually. It's a terrible kick. It's a beautiful kick normally, Scotland.
Bruce, you asked me earlier on this quarter if I would give a tick to Melbourne, and I said I would. This last 5 or 10 minutes has almost changed my mind. I think Melbourne have just dropped off that little bit. All Mark Neal and all their supporters want to see is them fighting to the very end. They'd be disappointed with the way they finished this game.
No, Lingy, I think you're entitled to mark it for the second time as a revision mark.
He's withdrawn the tick.
No, I reckon he's got the eraser out and he's done the right thing. Burnell, not that I'm going to tell Lingy what to do. Here's Joseph.
I think word got out there. They've got the tick. There's a chance for Ellard. Feeds it back. Little one from Joseph. Finds Cruiser. So Melbourne, another bad loss. It's going to look bad in the paper tomorrow. But they had their moments today. Just talking about Chris Judd and the fact that he's got an imposing record against the team he barracked for as a kid. Buddy Franklin was a Melbourne supporter as well. I don't know what Melbourne can do, but they need to tweak, somehow get a variation to the father-son rule. The boy and the beanie rule or something, and suddenly grab onto a couple of those blokes and make it retrospective.
The kid with the poster on the wall rule.
That's right. Got to have the photographs, though, going back all those years. If you can walk into AFL House and show the photos, you get to play for that team. That would be galling, wouldn't it, to think of that? Those kids running around in Melbourne jumpers as young men now, champions of the game. Here's Tui going through midfield, one bounce, and his second. There's nobody really up ahead except Garland and Betts near the goal square. Here's Judd, the man about whom we spoke. Getting back in the goal line now is Walker. Betts, though, is the chosen one. And what a beautiful kick. There was a man in short, when I say in short, about 10 metres, I think it was McDonald, in front of Betts. And despite the hard running that he'd just done, Judd able to lob it perfectly.
Dennis, does he aim for Eddie or just the shorts?
No, Eddie, I reckon.
What would you see first?
You'd probably hear the shorts, depending on just how strong the breeze was.
Big sail opening up.
They don't look as long today, do they? But maybe they are.
There's a couple of stories going around about the shorts too. One was that it was sort of a nod, if you like, to the rappers.
Right.
But then I think last time around it was something else. So I'm not sure what it all means, but it's very much deliberate on his part. Comes in, kicks 5 on the siren. Well done, Eddie. Well done, Carlton. They owned certainly the second half. The margin was 13 points at half-time, and they win big time. Let's go down to Cameron Link now with a special guest.
I've got Brock McLean down here, boys, mate. Great to be back running around on the MCG, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a different feeling than running out to the VFL where there's about 12 people there, so good to be back on the side.
And just a really good, hard-fought win. Melbourne took it up to you guys, but you guys responded well.
Yeah, we spoke about it during the week that, we're not always going to be at our best, and, we've just got to grind away, got to win ugly, and we just thought if we just kept at it, they'd slowly break, and, we did that in the end.
Well done, mate. Go and enjoy yourself.
Thanks, mate. Cheers.
You must have the self-confidence of Johnny Drama. Down for so long and back he came, Tim. That's the mark of the man, eh? Just ready when the time presented itself. So few opportunities. And that's a sad story. Young Collins with a knee problem. Hopefully it is okay. He seems to be okay, and I'm sure he wouldn't be out there walking around shaking hands if it was a major problem. So that could be good news coming out of the afternoon. Hampson a couple of goals, and Carlton, well, they didn't do it easy. They had to be prodded that they win their game this afternoon. That makes it 6 for them as we go down to Cam again.
Mitch, yourself, mate, you just had the ball on the string. Bit of leather poisoning today.
Yeah, you know, I just want to find a consistency. We need to come out and get a win today. No matter how much we won by, we just need to get a win on the board.
It was great that yourself, Brock McLean, could stand up in the middle. Mark Murphy obviously being out. You need to have those options through the middle of the ground, don't you?
Yeah, Chooker's a great inclusion. He's so hard. He's been dominating the VFL, so when the time came, you know, he took it by both hands.
Right on today, mate. Go enjoy yourself.
Cheers,
Yes, Robbo. He's not the real Robbo, of course. Melbourne fans would have turned pale if we said that. I think the real Robbo was a Carlton supporter. Plenty more still to come. It's a good victory by Carlton in the end. Final scoreline, Carlton 15-17, 107. Melbourne 6-13, 49.